And now it's time to get you caught up on the week's biggest stories from the world of professional wrestling. It's the Ringside Wrap on the Kings of Sport. What's going on, brothers and sisters? Had to hit y'all with that tribute to the good brother Macaulay Culkin on these streets off the top. But welcome to a very special edition of the Ringside Wrap presented by the Kings of Sport podcast. And this is something that we haven't done in a while, but when momentous events happen, when big nights happen, when spectacles occur, you know, we got to give our 2 cents. And so we are back with a special live edition of the Ringside Wrap. And then we got so much to get into, so I'm not even going to waste a lot of time off the top. I am the Godfather, Nate Milton, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. Over 10 years in the game, ain't a damn thing changed. And I am joined by my brothers. Let's give it up, first of all, for a man who I would have sworn would have been at attendance last night at Raw from the Intuit Center in Los Angeles, California, because he is the mayor pro tem of Los Angeles, California. He is a man many people call Moderna Chris. Some people call Mimosa Chris. Some people refer to this brother as the angry intellectual. I just refer to him as Doc. Y'all give it up for my man, my brother, and my friend, the co-host here at the Kings of Sport and the Ringside Wrap, the Professor Chris Ely. Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
Man, chilling. I don't got my glasses today, but we'll make do. Yeah, man, we are in the streaming era. We are in the streaming era of AEW, of WWE. How did the shows do? How was Netflix Raw last night? How was AEW Rampage and Dynamite? I'm interested to talk about all of it, man.
Yes, and we can't do this without, last night's Raw was filled with special guests presented by Netflix. And we have somebody who you could refer to as a special guest, because I think this is his first time on one of these Ringside Wraps, not due to any fault of his own, just because we haven't done one in like 2 years. But he is the producer, the super producer here at the Kings of Sport. Y'all give it up for the man. Some people call him the Caitlin Clark of producers, a.k.a. Caitlin Dark, two-way Ray Williams. Ray, what's good, brother?
Everything's going well, brother. Always a pleasure to join you two brothers, especially in this capacity. I know we're about to get into the new era, the Netflix era of Raw, but I know that you're also going to talk about another new era that may be beginning in less than 2 weeks, brother Nate.
Well, let's talk about it, Ray, because Raw entered, as you said, the Netflix era last night. But in 2 weeks' time, less than 2 weeks' time, Ray Williams, January 20th, 2025, the Kings of Sport Network will be entering the nefarious era. Yes, Nefarious Media will be launching in 2 weeks. On January the 20th. It's something we've been working on really hard here behind the scenes, and we're excited for this journey. We're excited to take this leap of faith. And so here's what, I'm just going to give you guys and girls a brief timeline of what's going to go down in the weeks to come. So between now and the 20th, we are going to have a special episode, episode 0. Welcome to Nefarious, where you'll hear from myself, Ray, Chris, some of the other hosts on this network, for maybe about 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, just kind of talking about this venture that we're all kind of stepping out into. Then on Sunday, January 19th, it will be the first edition of the NWA podcast over at Post Wrestling for 2025. And we are excited about that because not only is there so much wrestling to talk about with the good people over at Post Wrestling, but it will also be the eve of the launch of Nefarious Media. And then January 20th, that afternoon, we will be having our first show on Inauguration Day and MLK Day. And so I feel like there's something in the air, Ray. There's something in the air, Chris, that these events are all coalescing at the time we decided to launch the new network. And I have, I finally can say it, Ray. I've got word. So Ray and I had already signed up to do a live episode of The Parlay on January 20th. And we have not one but two guests for the parlay, Ray. I can say it now because they have both been confirmed. The first guest is a returning guest. Brittany Monet will be back to chop it up with me and Ray. But Ray, come on now. Last night, and we're going to talk about it, there was a brother that got out here trying to sell his alcohol. And that didn't go too well. That didn't go too well. But I got a brother from Chicagoland that's going to come through. We ain't worried about real American beer because we're going to be selling Willie wine to the people. Steve Willie, the content, will be making his Nefarious Media debut as part of the parlay with myself, Ray, and Brittany. And so, yeah, we're excited about this. I've been posting about it on my socials. Ray Williams has finally joined Blue Sky, so we got that going for us, which is nice. And so we got a lot of things in motion here behind the scenes. Got a great graphic designer working on some new logos for the network. Got my man Sinatra Royale coming up with a new theme for the network, and so it's a lot going on. It's chaos, because Ray, Chris, and I still have regular shoot jobs to go to while we're planning this stuff. But it's going to be fun, and we hope y'all come along for the ride. In the meantime, in between time, though, hit up the Patreons, hit up the socials, man. Share everything you can that we're doing with our friends, with your friends, because I don't know them people. You know those people. I don't. Share it with your friends because, yeah, we're excited about this. We think this is going to be a good step for everybody here. And, it's going to be a fun ride, Chris.
Yeah. I agree. I'm looking forward to the new era. Well, you said something about Inauguration Day. I got no clue what you're talking about, man. I am not watching that shit.
I was about to say, I thought you were on your way here for yesterday for some. I know we had some snow. I thought you were going.
I originally was on my way to DC. I had already booked our place to stay when I thought Kamala Harris had it in the bag. I was gonna be front row. And then that these Starlink motherfuckers and these MAGA voters had to pull their shit. So we'll
hey, Chris, you can still go, brother, and celebrate America. Come on,
nah. I will not be celebrating that. I think
get you a real American beer, brother. Make some new friends.
Yeah. The plurality, open arms.
The plurality of people who voted for that fucker should be ashamed of themselves, but that's another conversation for another day. I want to, like you said, there was a beer salesman, a snake oil salesman in the city of Los Angeles yesterday, in my town of birth, Inglewood, California, born and raised. No good. Yeah. They were up to some good last night, though. I'll say that, man. I was quite impressed with that because I've gone to several of these LA shows throughout my life. I went to WrestleMania 7. I was there with Macaulay Culkin as a kid. I've gone to WrestleMania, the one in 2005. I forget the number for it. Was it 21? I've been to wrestling events out here. I've been to the PWG shows. I've been to all of these things. The wrestling crowds for WWE shows are pretty obedient. We were the town that was cheering John Cena when everybody else in the country was booing him, right? And we were always just like go along to get along crowds. That wasn't the case last night.
Hold on, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's save it. You know, like we ain't gonna give the people the main event right now, Chris, because I want to set aside like a whole 20-some minutes just to talk about that, just to talk about that 3-minute segment, because to me that was the main event of the night. So save that thought, Chris.
Yeah, that was the main event for me. I had so much fun watching that.
Oh, but real quick, Ray, last thing on Nefarious before we get there, because I was thinking today when we were setting up this stream, like I think Ringside Rap, if it's something that y'all and maybe some of the people that we bring onto the network want to do on a more regular basis, it can be its own thing, because we don't have like a dedicated wrestling show. Like we kind of talk wrestling on the Kings of Sport, but like I'm thinking I want the Kings of Sport maybe to even be more sportsy under Nefarious, where we can have like the wrestling show, and then we have the sports show where we sometimes talk about wrestling, but I want to get more sportsy with that. Like if Chris has time, I'd love for Chris to be able to do a monthly political literacy show on the network, man. Like there's a lot of things that this can become. So real quick, Ray, because we do need to get to Hogan and other things, but I want to hear your thoughts about Nefarious before I share a funny story that is not funny to me, but maybe it'll make somebody out there smile.
Well, yeah, I totally agree. I totally dig the idea of kind of having it separate, because we do, for the most part, talk a lot of different sports on the Kings of Sport proper, and I think it would be cool to kind of branch out a little bit more with wrestling specific content right here, because as you guys know, if you guys been long time listeners, you know that we also do a wrestling specific podcast over on Post Wrestling called the Nubian Wrestling Advocates. But I know that that's kind of centered within that post wrestling world, and I think it'll be good to have something specifically of our own right here as well. So I totally dig those, and I love like the different ideas, especially with having different avenues, like you said, having a political podcast with Chris, and having different things with all of the contributors here. We talk about Brittany Monet or Steve Willie, or of course the youngest in charge, Andrew Thompson, and getting everybody involved, Jennifer, getting everybody involved in that way. So I think the future is bright.
Yeah, the future is bright. One last thing, one last tease. Ray and Chinyere will be doing their debut episode for 2025 of the Spinning Black Fist, and they have a special guest lined up. We're not gonna say who it is right now, because you got to tune in. You got to subscribe to hear who Ray and Chinyere gonna be chopping it up with, talking about MMA as we go into a new year. But all I will say about your guest, Ray, is when it's time to announce it, we'll announce it. But until then, just stay tuned, because we'll keep you posted.
I see what you did there. Yes.
You see what I did there. But real quick, because I have so many thoughts about Raw from last night, Chris, but I promised Ray a story. So I worked last week. So y'all know my work schedule, man. Y'all know how the job be treating you, man. Last week, Chris, I worked 7 days straight.
Right.
It was the third time in 2 months that I've worked 7 days straight, which feels kind of funny, kind of suspect. Like there's one other person that worked 7 days straight during that time frame, but I'm the only one that's done it 3 times. Like, is this a badge of honor? Like, because I'm the sucker that's gonna actually show up to work and not call out. That I'm bestowed this privilege, Ray, of working 7 days straight. So I worked 7 days straight. On my day off, my first day off was yesterday. My second day off is today, and then I go back in for the rest of the week. So yesterday, I'm chilling, man. I'm a little achy. I'm like, man, you know what? I'm not even going to, do anything today. I'm just going to stay in. Plus, it snowed a little bit here in Virginia, and I'm going to, relax. And one of the things I do when I relax, Ray, I got this little contraption that's like a foot soaker and like a little massager.
Oh yeah.
And so you put the water in. Yeah. Let me tell you, self-care, ladies and gentlemen. So it's got like this little bubbles and little massage features and functions. So they give you a formula to put in there, but I make my own formula. I got like just water, because obviously you need the water. Then I put in just like a splash or two of baby oil. No Diddy, you're not allowed here. I forget who it was. The Mad Skills on the wrap up. He was like, yeah, like you don't need all that baby oil, Diddy. Like one bottle should last you like 2-3 years.
I know, right?
Like, who is using that much damn baby oil, brother? That should have been the first clue. Like, you know how you go to the store and like they got like the cough medicine, the Sudafed behind the glass case.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's locked up. Like they should have a baby oil like that. Like if you need more than one bottle of baby oil, something's up.
And they should ID you the way they do with Sudafed.
Yes.
And then if you buy Sudafed at CVS, you can't go across the street to Walgreens and buy again. They limit how much you can buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. They need to
ID and everything.
start doing that with baby oil. Yes.
Right.
So I put like the water, I got the baby oil, and then the secret ingredient, Dr. Teal's black elderberry foot soak. Y'all don't know about this man, Dr. Teal. I don't even know who like if it's a real person or not. But I put it in there, man. Like let everything coagulate, mix up together. Put my feet in the soaker, man. It just it's wonderful. It's beautiful. I was doing this yesterday, chilling, man, looking at the phone. And this is my own fault. Like I can't even blame the job on this. I was having me an adult beverage, and I went to reach for my beverage tray. Knocked my phone off of my desk and into the water. So go down, pick up the phone. Everything looking cool. It's fine. Okay, whatever's cool. And then I'm like, okay, so I just like dry it off, and I got what do you call it? Like a can of compressed air. Yeah. And I spray the compressed air just to make sure like some of the stuff on the inside is drying out. I let the phone sit for maybe 30 minutes, and I'm like, okay, it should be good to resume normal function. So I'm going through the phone, it's down to about 20%. I'm like, I should probably charge my phone. Go in to charge my phone, watching this Raw. Next thing I know, like right around the time your boy Terry comes out, I start smelling like a burnt smell. Like this ain't right. This ain't. I look over and like my phone is not doing anything, but I could smell it. So I reach for my phone. The back of it where the battery is like hot, like stovetop hot. So I unplug it real quick, run the little diagnostic. It says, oh, everything's fine. Everything ain't fine, phone. Because my phone will not take a charge now. It is like on the way out. It's like, you remember them cartoons, Chris, when Bugs Bunny used to die?
Yeah.
But he would like die all slow and direct. Oh, goodbye, cruel world.
Yeah.
Oh. No, this is it. Like that's what my phone been doing the last 24 hours. Like it still works. Like I have just enough charge to like check things, but it's like if I leave my phone on for more than 5 minutes, it is dead. And so I got a new phone on the way, but it's like having to go back. And I was speaking with somebody earlier. I sent a message to the graphic designer, talented graphic designer that's working on our logo. Like, hey, we are deciding on some things, and I'll get back to you by Friday. But it's like I'm doing everything off of like a tablet or a laptop now, and this is how privileged we are in America, all of us, even when America doesn't feel like it's a place to be of privilege. Because I'm like, damn, this is like the Stone Ages, right? I'm here tippy-tap typing on my laptop and on my tablet. It's like, how do people live like this? And it's like, because we've become so dependent on these phones, Ray Williams.
That's
I
true.
got everything on the phone. Like I've got documents, I've got contacts, I've got the Google Drive with all of our stuff on there. Like the only time I use my laptop really other than doing streams like this is to edit. And so it's like, yeah, like I'm having to recover passwords that I haven't used in a year or two because I never use my laptop for that stuff anymore. And so, yeah, like this is a long way of saying, man, it's been crazy. But I feel like, the more we get closer to this launch of Nefarious, man, there's going to be little crazy, stupid obstacles like this. But you ain't going to stop us, obstacles. Because January 20th going to come here whether you want it to or not, ladies and gentlemen.
In many ways than one.
Yes, that has multiple meanings, right?
Can't stop it. Yeah, it's going to happen.
But speaking of something Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, you go ahead.
Because I was going to say, Chris, speaking of something that happened last night, the world changed as we got the first edition of Monday Night Raw live on Netflix. The Netflix era has begun. We'll get into some, of the details later, but overall first impressions. And Chris, as somebody who is a Los Angeles native, somebody who I'm sure has been in the Intuit Center, what were your overall impressions or your kind of initial impressions of Raw last night?
So I grade Raw in comparison with AEW Dynamite and vice versa. I grade the SmackDown in comparison with Collision. That's just how I do.
A show to A show, B show to B show.
Right. So I thought the Netflix, if I'm gonna compare it to AEW's first HBO Max stream, it was the production was just way better. They made the show feel like it was the most important episode of Raw that you had to ever watch in your life. Like if you ever were gonna watch an episode of Raw, this was the episode to watch. They promoted it well. They had it at the Intuit Dome, which is a very, very nice, huge building. Nicer than the Staples Center. I got mixed feelings on it. I was like, man, the Lakers should play at the Intuit Dome, but I live I live 36 miles away from the Intuit Dome, so I live like closer to the Staples Center, so I take the Lakers at the Staples Center and let the lame-ass Clippers be at the Intuit Dome, even though they are not worthy of the Intuit Dome, but that's neither here nor there. They built up that area of Inglewood very well. That wasn't the Inglewood that I was born in. It's very gentrified now. Like the Inglewood, they've like the Forum is in Inglewood as well.
That's what I was going to ask, Chris. Like, how close is the Intuit Dome to the Great Western Forum?
It's like you go walk to it. It's not that far. It's like I wouldn't walk to it, but you could walk to it. It's like right there. So the Intuit Dome is like off of Century. The Forum is on Prairie, I want to say, and you can like it'd be a workout, but you go walk it. It's like near Hollywood. They built up the whole area. It used to be the racetrack over there, but they built it up into a nice little gentrified area. You see a lot of white people walking around. Which is something that I never really saw. You'd see him on Laker game nights, but you didn't really see that like regularly. I was watching. Yeah, there was an episode of Insecure where they were talking about Inglewood getting gentrified, and all the white people there were calling it I-wood, and that was just not cool at all. But it's a nice area. It's a very, very nice area. The so they had it at a good building in a good area in a good city. They did everything right production wise. So if I'm grading the debut episode of Raw Netflix versus AEW on Max, AEW Dynamite on Max, I'd give Raw like an A+, and AEW Dynamite just because they didn't make it feel like a big deal at all. They made it feel like another episode of Dynamite. So I'd give it like a B. It wasn't a bad show. It's just the feel of it should have been better.
Yes.
As far as the actual episode, I gotta give this. So if I'm comparing apples to apples, if I'm comparing AEW to this, I give Raw a B plus or B a regular B. I give AEW like a B minus, and I give Raw the B. I give it a B because they did have CM Punk and Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And they did. John Cena did announce he was gonna be in the Royal Rumble. And they finally, after 20 some years, finally got Cena the cheers that they always wanted him to get. So I mean, you gotta give us you gotta give them points for that shit, man. Because Cena was like, I mean, they force fed this dude for decades, man. It was pathetic how they did it with Cena. With Roman Reigns, they did everything right with Roman Reigns and with Cody Rhodes to a certain extent. They're not lying to us every week saying that Cody Rhodes, you know what I'm saying? Like they would always like pretend that Cena was getting cheered when he wasn't. Now they've got Cena where he needs to be, although Cena is on his way out, so it really doesn't matter. But yeah, it was a good show. I think it was a good debut episode. I think people gotta get off of these dumb fucking predictions in WWE verse. They really, really do, because it's getting annoying for me. I've talked about this on what we did NWA. Nobody's beating Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is not going to be losing on the debut Netflix episode of Raw. That is not happening. I don't know why people, and I saw this on my Twitter. I saw it on the Blue Sky. I saw it on the Facebook. I think Solo should win. Solo's not beating fucking Roman Reigns. It's not happening, man. Like it's just we gotta start tempering expectations when it comes to these wrestling shows, especially WWE. WWE right now, they are in a season of their existence where they can play it safe and be okay doing it, right? They really don't need to have Solo Sikoa. If he's worthy, I do think he will get his run eventually. Not anytime soon, but it could happen, you know. But I think right now, this is Roman's time. This is Cody Rhodes' time. This is CM Punk's time. Those are their main baby faces. Everybody else falls low to them. And The Rock is Jesus effing Christ when he's there. So
and we'll talk about The Rock because Final Boss Rock is dead, y'all. And we're gonna talk about that here in a second.
We gotta talk about that.
We're gonna talk about that here in a second. I'll go next, Ray, and then we'll get your initial thoughts, because I agree with a lot of what Chris said, man. Like, just from a production standpoint, this was one of the best looking wrestling shows I've seen in a long time. Like the venue, as Chris said, was great. They packed it out. You know, it looked like a Hollywood premiere. Like the drone shots were amazing. Like, I like the ring setup, man. Like, I even saw the lights of the Goodyear blimp.
Right, yeah.
And it said Dwayne Johnson's a pimp. Because he was pimping Netflix. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this man, Dwayne The Rock Rocket Johnson, on these streets.
Right,
but I think in terms of a grade, like an initial grade, Ray, I'd say from a television show standpoint, from a production standpoint, I give it an A+, as Chris was saying. From a wrestling show standpoint, I'd probably give it a C. So I'm kind of right there with Chris. Like, I'd say it's a B+ show. And and we'll talk about it here in a little bit, because I think one of the dangers they're going to find is, like, this was cool, and a lot of people were talking about it, but you ain't getting this show every week.
Right.
And so, like, to me, the real staying power of Raw on Netflix is not what we see now, not the ratings we get now, not the enthusiasm we're seeing now, but what does this show look like and what does the buzz around this show look like after WrestleMania? Like when we hit them doldrums after WrestleMania and you in some random town in Iowa for Monday Night Raw on Netflix, what's that going to look like? But like, yeah, I thought this, for what they wanted it to be, Ray, and for what they needed it to be, which is not only this WWE wrestling show, but also a commercial for the synergy between TKO and Netflix. Like that's what this was. That there's a reason, like I said, it felt like a Hollywood premiere, Ray. It felt like a Hollywood premiere, Chris. It felt like an industry event that happened to feature wrestling. And so like I thought, again, it was a fun watch. A lot of people were engaged on socials, man, particularly when we get to this man, Terrence from Florida. But yeah, I had fun with it. And I'm interested to see how they follow up on it. So let's go to Ray Williams for Ray's thoughts. Again, for everybody watching, thank you for watching us live here this afternoon. If you got comments, drop them in the chat. Ray will bring up the ones that tickle his fancy, if you will. But Ray Williams, what did you think? What were your initial thoughts about night one of Raw on Netflix?
Well, first off, speaking of the chat, we did have a young brother who I don't know if he's young or old, but the brother joined us, Chris. I think he's new to the program, so shout out to Chris. He said he went ahead and liked and subscribed, so we appreciate you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
But yeah, I'm kind of in line with you guys. I kind of think like the production was very smooth. I want to say I'm surprised that we didn't get the glitches. We didn't get that Paul Tyson glitch.
No, yeah,
I'm pleasantly surprised that we didn't get that. But I know a lot of people are saying, well, Raw's not going to kind of command that much attention and that many eyeballs at one time. But I'm still surprised.
And they've also had 2 NFL games to kind of work out these kinks as well.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I'm glad everything went smoothly in that aspect. And I don't want to kind of repeat what you guys have already said, but yeah, I'm in a similar aspect where I believe A+ top-notch production, top-notch, like just making WWE feel like a big thing. And I also like how they were kind of integrating history for those. And I think it prior to the show, Michael Cole was kind of giving an interview and saying how we're introducing this to people who've never seen it before. We reintroducing it to lapsed fans. So I think that they did a great job with trying to integrate some of their biggest characters. And I know we're going to talk about it as well. I felt that in lifting up some of your bigger characters, you kind of and a lot of people were talking about how, oh, it's going to Netflix. Is it going to be 4 hours? Is it going to be 5 hours? They ain't got no time limit. What they going to do? And it just ended up being like 3 hours and 3 minutes. So pretty much what they usually do. But then I think there was a report. I think one of the executives were saying, I think Triple H, in fact, was saying something like, "Oh, it could be 40 minutes one night. It could be 4 hours."
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know about that 40 minutes though. But
yeah. Take it from us, Paul. Take it from us, Hunter, as people that regularly do a monthly show that goes about 4, 5, 6, 7 hours at a time. There's been many a time when me and Chris and nephew and Ray was like, you know what, guys, let's just do a tight 45, 60, 70-minute episode. It don't never work like that because what's the phrase you always use, Chris? Lifestyle creep.
Yeah.
like when you get accustomed to something, that's what it's gonna be. So yeah, that little 2 hours on USA the last couple of weeks was cute, but now it's back to business as usual. We doing these 3-hour shows whether you want it or not. Netflix.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that it kind of worked out well. The only thing in my eyes that I kind of saw it as a bit of a downer was that you had high quality wrestling, but it was more like a Triple H PLE now, where it's like you have a tight 4 matches, but then everything else is like filler. And so I would. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
No, you're right. And if you were watching this in the States like we were, it was very annoying.
Oh,
It was I did get some Canadian feed because in the group chat, one of my homies, shout out to Travers in Winnipeg, he was updating us as to what was going on during the commercial. So Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods came out there, cut a promo. There was some other stuff going on. They filled in a lot of holes. It's just if you were in the States, you didn't see that shit. You saw whack ass commercials for
so many commercials.
It's
so many
like
commercials.
Yeah. And I already feel a way about commercials on a streamer because I'm already fucking paying.
Right.
Talk to him, Chris.
$10 a month, $15 a month, $20 a month, whatever it is for the stream. So I shouldn't get commercials. I am one of the people who do not have one single solitary problem with Nick Khan saying, yo, we are putting ads on the wrestling ring. To me, I much rather have the names of sponsors on the ring than you trying to incorporate them in the show in some stupid way. But if I am paying Netflix an astronomical amount to watch Netflix, the very least you can do is not give me these fucking commercials. And this goes for AT&T, or not AT&T, AEW and Max as well. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the hell are we doing, man? You have product placement. Go ahead and do that, but the commercials, especially a bunch of them, come on.
Yeah, and that was my thing, Ray, because I signed up for Netflix again last night. Because I was one of the OGs on this Netflix thing. You know, we talked about this with Andrew Thompson and Martin Bushby when go back to the very first edition of Bushby and Thompson's Wrestling Adventures over at Post Wrestling. And that was when I schooled the nephew, because nephew didn't know. Nephew, he just a young fella, Ray. Nephew didn't know that Netflix originally started as a mailer DVD service.
How old? Like this is ridiculous. Come on, nephew. Don't make me feel old for being like, I remember a time when I used to get Netflix DVDs in red envelopes. Come on, man. Are we that fucking old?
the innocence in his voice, Chris, when I was talking about this, and nephew was like, Netflix used to sell DVDs through the mail? I'm like, yes. Yes.
Christ, man. Like, you should be updated on this, man.
Like, you got to learn, young folks. You got to learn your history. But yeah, so like I've been on this Netflix for a minute, and so I was subscribed. Like I transferred. I think for the longest time too, Ray, I was still on the plan when Netflix streaming began, where I had the streaming and the DVD package.
Yeah, same
and then
here.
Eventually, I just kind of opted out of the DVD portion. And the crazy thing is, Netflix was still running the DVD side of things up until 2023. So it's like it's not that long ago, like, because there were some remote places in the world, like or in the country, places where real American beer is probably prevalent, like that didn't have the greatest Wi-Fi or internet situation, and so Netflix still had DVDs going out to those locations. So I've been with Netflix for a minute, but then after a while I just dropped them because there wasn't enough content to justify, even if it's only $8, $9, $10, $15 a month, it's not justifying me watching you or paying you if I'm not watching you, especially once they got rid of all the Marvel stuff and that moved to Disney Plus. I was like, okay, cool, I'm done with Netflix. So I signed up for Netflix again because I didn't want to use my sister's. She still has Netflix. I didn't want to use her login because Netflix be out here spying on people. And so I was like, I signed up for the basic version because I'm like, I'm basically only getting this to watch Raw for the first month or so and see if I like it, and if I don't, I'll cancel it. And so I'm sitting there waiting for Raw to start. And you know me, Ray, if I'm paying my money for something, I need to feel like I'm getting my money's worth, even if it's only $6. So while I'm waiting for Raw, I'm like, what else Netflix got? Okay, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that's cool. Okay, they got Seinfeld. Yeah, it is what it is. And then Ray Williams. It was like, maybe you like this. And they showed me the CW Flash show, the whole series available
Oh.
on Netflix. And I'm like, okay, what else y'all got? They got CW Flash. They got CW Arrow. They got CW Supergirl. They got CW Legends of Tomorrow. And then Ray Williams. What I spent about 3 hours watching before I watched Monday Night Raw last night, the complete series of Black Lightning.
There it
Yeah,
is.
man.
On Netflix. Because last night I saw a superhero. He was black. He said, this is for the hood. Black Lightning's back. So I'm just sitting there watching Black Lightning for like 3 hours. I almost missed Raw because I was like, oh shit, Raw's starting. Because I was getting into watching these old episodes of Black Lightning. So at least Netflix has me for a month, Ray. But yeah, those commercials, as Chris said, those commercials was kind of out of pocket. It's like, I get it. There has to be some ad integration, even if you do take, but like maybe one break per hour.
Yeah,
like limit to that.
Well, I think so I was watching Adam Conover. He used to host Adam Ruins Everything, and he has this really good thing on Netflix where he talks about Netflix was trying to kill the television industry, right? They were trying to do away with the need for commercials by having a pay model. And what you find out is that the commercial model is needed, right? Because people don't like paying for shit. It's just how it is. So Netflix is not immune to that. You know, they thought they could kind of bypass all that stuff, but at the end of the day, there is, if we're going to use the word synergy, there's a synergy there with companies and viewers who watch these things and all that. You can't kill commercials completely, even on a Netflix, but there's got to be a smarter way to incorporate them without making us watch a bunch of them, because it feels like you're watching television. It's like if I'm watching Raw on USA and I'm getting all these stupid ass fucking commercials, I might as well be watching it on USA. You know, if I'm watching it on Netflix and getting these commercials, why move to Netflix and just keep it on USA?
Yeah, from the pacing of the show, it did not feel that different. Like the actual show itself felt different just because of the production, but from the pacing of it, it didn't feel that much different than a typical Raw on USA.
I know, and they have the audacity, the unmitigated fucking gall to show commercials during matches. Like, what the fuck are we doing? It's like, you're on Netflix now. At the very least, you could front load the commercials before the match or backload them after the match. Why are you showing in the middle of a fucking match on motherfucking Netflix commercials? It makes no sense. Like they didn't do this with the NFL games. They didn't like go in the right after, like, you know, a first down, just go to a commercial. You know what I'm saying? You know, you wait
because they know them NFL fans wouldn't have it, Chris.
Right? Yeah. They gotta clean this shit up, man, and we gotta be vocal about that. You know. Because I'd be damned. AEW, I'll give them a pass because they're still on TNT and TBS, so I understand it from that point of view. But I think they're going to be 100% making a move to HBO Max in the next couple years as well. So, I mean, they're not going to be on TV anymore. When that happens, everybody's going to have to stop this if you're a wrestling company.
Well, I got a question though. Do you guys think that this is just them being used to having commercial breaks and them being used to having wrestlers kind of throw to like do your traditional, somebody's jumping outside the ring. Oh, he took him out. I think, like, do you think that's just the WWE being set in their ways? And do you think that they can kind of adjust for that?
There might be something to that.
No more 2-minute chin lock wrestling.
There might be something to that, Ray. Because
that's a good point.
That would make sense. It's probably just used to like what they've been doing. You know, it's what they know. You know, it's like Wong and Owens ex-porn stars on SNL.
Yes.
Anytime they tried to get a legit job, they'd go back to doing the porn stuff because that's
This
what
is
they
all
do.
I know.
Yes, I think this is kind of how it is with WWE. This is what they know. They got to get out of this habit, though, man. If you want to make this, and I think that the point of what they're doing is they want people to know it's fake, because Triple H said as much,
Yes.
in his monologue last night, which to me is kind of,
we're telling stories.
Right. I didn't. It's not that I hated it. It's just I think there's a time and a place for Triple H to talk like that. I don't know if right before the episode of Raw, like the intro, you should be doing that. If you want to do that at a press conference or something, knock yourself out. But like I do think,
we know we ain't nobody here under the illusion that this is real Ray Williams.
Right, yeah.
But we know, like, if I go to watch, and I will in February 14th, to go watch Captain America #4, Brave New World. If before the movie starts, Kevin Feige comes out, hey guys, we're about to tell y'all a wonderful story. Are you ready for this story? I said, are you ready for this story? Well, here it goes. Like, I know it's not real. I know there ain't no damn black man with the stars and stripes flying around a space creature that's in the middle of the earth fighting the president that turns into a red gamma monster. Right, I know that's not real. But I'm paying you money as a consumer to get lost in the fiction for a couple hours. Just like this wrestling. I'm paying y'all money to get wrapped up in these stories. We know they ain't real, but you ain't got to come out here and tell us, Paul.
Right. Yeah. I think the way Vince McMahon introduced the Attitude Era was better than Triple H doing this shit last night. I thought Vince McMahon, because the way he did it he wasn't saying this is fake. What he was saying is this shit is corny. And what we're going to be presenting you now is not going to be corny anymore. How we did things in the past was corny. We're not doing that anymore. And I thought there was, and that was a subtlety that I actually appreciated when Vince McMahon did it. Triple H could have found some kind of happy medium. You don't need to be talking like that. I mean, this is the kind of shit that got Cody Rhodes booed on AEW when he's like talking, I am not gonna turn heel and all this other stuff. We don't need that.
No. And I think Ray, go ahead.
I was about to say headlines gonna be from this episode. Headline: Chris, I appreciate Vince McMahon.
Yes. Yes. Somebody's gonna aggregate it.
Right. Well, I could always find, things about the things people I don't like. They even they have their moments,
3 weeks from now, Chris is gonna be on the show talking about, you know what? He may be a racist, but Terry Bollea can sure brew a beer.
Nah, I'll be drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon before I drink that shit. Terry Bollea stuff. I'm a bit of a beer snob, and
yes,
I won't be fucking with his beer. Stone Cold's beer is good though.
They had a beer sponsorship right there. We'll talk. We'll talk about it when we get to the main event, because I have so many thoughts about Hogan. But I think Chris gave us a perfect on ramp to this episode, Ray, because we go from the Triple H intro, then the lights go out, and who should appear, Ray, but No, I was going to say the final boss, but the final boss did not appear at all on this episode. We did not get the final boss, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We got my main man, Maui. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, fresh off of the success, quote unquote, of Red One, is back on these streets. He comes out in the middle of the Intuit Dome, Chris, welcomes us to the show, gives props to all the people that came before him, gives props to the Netflix executives, shows love to a guy that's carried his company on his back for a year, my main man, Cody Rhodes. I see you, brother. And just shows a bunch of love for the fans in attendance. And The Rock that we see, and he'll be back in a few segments, he's back for the Roman segment. He's back in a backstage segment. I believe he's like drinking and driving at one point, which like no,
Yeah.
that is not the message we want to send not only to the kids but also to your cousin. Because we don't need a relapse for this brother. No yeet. I said no yeet. But Dwayne The Rock Johnson was fully Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie star here, not Final Boss, Ultimate Heel Rock, not even Hollywood Rock. He was Dwayne The Rock Johnson promoting WWE, the business, and the interaction with the fans. Like, it was cool to see The Rock, and like this was. I'm on, I got a damn Rock podcast over at Post Wrestling, the Rocky Maivia Picture Show. So I love The Rock.
Yeah,
but
same here.
For anybody that was hoping for some type of continuation of the feud between him and Cody, and even the feud between him and Roman, you got none of that on this episode. And I'm assuming the way they kind of left things, Chris, that this, if not completely dead, is dead for now.
Yeah, this shit is all the way dead, man. We got corporate suit Rock, not corporate boss Rock, corporate suit Rock. He was there to kiss up to the Netflix bosses. He was there as a member of the WWE board to big up the athletes in the company. He completely destroyed the storyline he did with Cody Rhodes. I'm sure he's The Rock, so I'm sure if they ever want to like reheat that, they could find a way to do it. But this was not good, man. As far as like from a storyline perspective, I was interested. The Rock handed something to Cody the last time he was on Raw.
Yeah.
And he said, "Don't break my heart again." And Cody and The Rock were not talking about what is in the contents of what was being handed and stuff. So I'm over here looking forward to Dwayne coming back, and then he does the brief cameo in Atlanta, staying at one of his lavish mansions in Atlanta. He does the cameo where he just kind of like runs out their points and gets a huge pop, and all the people in Atlanta felt they got their money's worth just off of that because he is The Rock. Only to destroy what he did with Cody and even with Roman. People in the LA crowd, and I talked to people who told me this, they were waiting for him to like whack Roman Reigns, hit him with something, and he just puts the fucking. I respect cultures, I really do, because I'm about to go off on this. I googled Ulafalas, and you could Google this too, Ray, if you want to.
Tread lightly, Chris. Don't speak ill of the High Chief.
I'm not speaking ill of the High Chief. Those things are like fucking $40 on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
And you don't have to get into tribal combat to earn
it. Chris, it's about the symbol. It's about the heritage.
I read up on the culture on this, and this is not a major thing from what I've read.
But didn't you hear Michael Cole? The red signifies royalty.
Yeah, that is true. I did read that. It does.
You can't even get that if you ain't a leader, Chris.
Right? Yeah. So like this is silly, right? It's as silly as the Nigerian drum fights and all that. This is. I understand that they're making it important though, and maybe there's something on the.
Chris, they showed footage. He went to Samoa, and they named him the High Chief Simo Lua. I forget.
I think that stuff I think is important. The Simo Lua stuff is important. I don't know about the Ulafala attached to it though. I do. The Sima Lua stuff is something that I did read because I didn't want to just come and shit on this, and I didn't want to just disrespect it the way LA Knight did when he was calling it a awful waffle or whatever he was saying on SmackDown. I didn't want to do all that, but I don't like these kind of made up cultural beats just to kind of move a
Yes,
stupid
to that commenter. We definitely got Dwayne, not The Rock, last night.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
And it was atrocious. It wasn't good. And Cody Rhodes, this dude, the last time I saw you and The Rock interact with each other before WrestleMania, this dude had you bloodied up in the cold, beat the ass with a fucking chain. Like this was like
you was threatening my mama.
Yeah, like this was Django or something. Like he embarrassed you, and now you're laughing off the mama stuff.
Tell Mama Rose I said hi. Like
like
too soon, my boy. Too soon.
I know, right?
It's like, this was it was interesting. It wasn't enough to make me hate the episode, but it was just confusing.
To me, Ray, and I want to hear your thoughts as well, but to me, it was just disappointing, man. Because I feel like there was a way you could have done everything that Dwayne did last night, right? As The Rock. And I mean, as Dwayne Johnson, because we know brother's busy, got the Fast and Furious joint coming up. There's reshoots that he's got to do for the live action Moana that he's got to do. So he's not going to be an active character in these storylines for much of this year or all of this year, perhaps. And so I get it if you don't want to tease too much about these feuds. But I think there was a way to keep these feuds going and not sacrifice like the corporateness of it all. Like, because last night, yes, I'm there too. He's hyping up people I ain't never heard of. Like, I want to give a shout out to Barry and Susie and is Timmy O'Malley up there? Timmy from Netflix, my man Timmy.
Right.
I don't know none of these damn people, Dwayne.
I've been to the Netflix building in West LA like 100 times over the last 10 years. I used to deliver food there. And then I used to appear there for other things. I don't know anybody at that motherfucker, man. A lot of disembodied voices that The Rock tried to attach faces to yesterday.
Yes.
So.
And then like there's a way like you could do, like he could still prop up the corporate side of things as the final boss. Right?
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, Cody. Normally, you know what I do. I put them hands on you, but tonight is Switzerland. Tonight, you get a pass for one night, Cody. You know what I mean? Like, keep the feud going, but still do the corporate stuff, even with Roman. Like, there's a way where, you know, they do the same exact thing, Ray, that they did last night with the Ulafala, but Rock puts the Ulafala on him. They dap up, they do the Dylan, you son of a bitch, handshake from Predator. But as Roman's going to leave, Rock pulls him in, looks down at the Ulafala, looks back at Roman, just kind of like, you know, one of these days, you know, like there were ways to do it without completely trashing's too strong of a word, Ray, but without completely closing the door. Because I do feel like, I think there's a way they maybe could come back around to it, but it looks DOA right now, this whole final boss Rock gimmick. Like, I think, and I made the joke because SP3 Romeo and JJ were on earlier today for True Hill Heat. Shout out to them brothers. And they were talking about last night's Raw, and I was like, yeah, I think because Romeo was like so distraught, man. He's like, man, I love the final boss character, man. They ain't doing that with, and I'm like, yo, I think the real final boss was Red One, because once Dwayne saw the box office receipts for that joint, he was like, you know what, man, all this wrestling stuff is cool, but I got a business to run. And I can't be running this business, which is me, while doing this wrestling thing. So we gonna cut the wrestling thing off for right now.
Right. Yeah. Even like with the I caused division stuff. He cleaned that shit up really fast.
Yes.
If you look at the people who he's been hanging out with, it's been more the liberal side of Hollywood. So I'm thinking he's kind of like understanding he made some missteps in 2024 or whatever. God bless The Rock, man. I hope you find your way. You know, you're on the board. You know, you run this company the way that you want to, along with Nick Khan and Triple H and the rest of those cats. But you guys can't do shit like this on a regular basis, because this is the problem too. They didn't give us a hook for next week's show, and we know how these debut episodes do. So whatever they did last night, because they're not doing Nielsen ratings for Netflix, but let's on the friendly side of things, let's say they get 3 million viewers to watch that debut episode. 3 million viewers worldwide watched Raw on Netflix.
And I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's a crazy number to throw out.
Right, yeah. And next week they're not getting that many viewers. They're gonna get
here's the thing, Chris. The next 2 weeks, because next week they're going head to head against a playoff game with Monday Night Football. And then the week after that is the college football national championship. So the next 2 weeks, they're going to be struggling.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, why would you not? You need to give us something, unless the plan was to just concede the next 2 weeks, which I get. But I mean, if you're conceding the next 2 weeks, why even debut on Netflix right now? Why not just wait until all the bowl games are done and then debut?
Because you know how much some of them folks in TKO management love January 6th, Chris.
Right, yeah. I mean, I see what you did there.
Ray, what did you think of our man Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson kind of kicking off the show and then his appearances throughout the night? Is Final Boss dead, dog?
I think so, or at least probably in hibernation. Instead of getting Final Boss,
so Final Boss is like the Green Goblin mask to Dwayne, like it'll just keep calling them off the scenes, off screen.
Yeah, I think so. We got the friendly boss. We got the guy who's how you doing, pal? How's your family doing? Now, can you stay a little bit after today? Huh? I love you, pal. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got to cut your PTO in half this year.
Exactly.
Shouting out Squid Games and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just think it kind of now, and I think everything you said, Nate, about trying to make sure he doesn't fumble the main priority bag. Like don't mess up the money when it comes to these movies. Like you said, when it comes to the Red One, and especially Moana 2 came out as well. So he's like, man, I ain't fumbling that bag. Let me make sure that's well secured. I'll still come back home every now and then. But now it kind of throws like this whole storyline, or not throws it in a loop, but it kind of puts a definitive end to it. And now you're wondering, to Chris's point, like, what do we do with the characters, especially with Solo Sikoa and Bloodline 2.0? Where do they go from here? I know that's going to be more of a SmackDown story, but it's kind of like, where do they go from here? Where does Roman go from here? And I'll echo what I said on NWA a few months ago. We still haven't seen a significant change within the personality of Roman Reigns. We haven't seen him shift. We haven't seen him apologize or
to the point, Ray Williams, where Roman won his match against Solo last night, got the Ula Fala back. The first thing my boy does is take a vacation. I see y'all in 2-3 weeks. I'm gone. Like, ain't that what you was doing before? That the people wasn't rocking with Roman? Like, so no change at all within the Roman Reigns character.
Look, man, if I'm going by wrestling logic, Roman Reigns owes none of those fuckers an apology, because they all have done the same thing. You know, they've all turned in different ways and have done stuff just as dastardly. Seth Rollins hit that man with a chair. Kevin Owens has turned on everybody he's ever been friends with ever in life. So, I mean, who cares about those fuckers, man? I think that a lot of them,
Jay and Jimmy and and Sammy Uso. I'm talking about the bloodline. Like, he ain't really apologize to them definitively.
Well, he ain't gotta apologize to them, because nobody apologizes in wrestling. You do shit and then you turn into a good guy, and that's just the end of the story, man. You got like that's like
in wrestling, Ray, it's like, like if me and Chris was a tag team and I turned on Chris and beat Chris up, I ain't got to apologize, because if Chris is getting jumped and I come out to save him 3 weeks later, then that's my apology, Chris. I ain't gonna say sorry.
Right, yeah. It's like there's certain things in wrestling that you just gotta like suspend your disbelief. I think WWE starts confusing the scene when you start trying to add way too much logic to something that doesn't need to have logic to it. Jake the Snake Roberts, he got his snake killed and obliterated and squashed by earthquake. In this, I want to say it was the summer, and then by the
somebody smashed the earthquake, smashed and obliterated Chris's sound. So Chris got some technical issues going on right now. Ray, while we're waiting for Professor to come back, what did you make of? Because the next thing I was going to go to is matches. So we had 4 matches last night. We had Roman versus Solo. We had Rhea versus Liv. We had Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso. And we had CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. So 4 matches in 3 hours. 4 matches in 3 hours. Like, that's, again, the pacing of the show felt a bit off. What'd you make of the in-ring content we got from Raw last night?
I think we got, like I said before, I think we got good matches, solid matches, but it was just like you mentioned, like the timing and just the filler in between, and like Chris mentioned, just why are we getting like 2 or 3 commercials per match when you already had another hour an hour before doing commercials in between, like the whole Real American Beer stuff and Cena coming out and Rock coming out and things like that. So I think that the action was solid. And I know we kind of mentioned this before, but it's just that I know you want to have your main characters be the focus, especially with like these huge blow-off matches that you had to headline the first show on Netflix. But now you're kind of diminishing like all the other talent that's going to be coming.
Well, here's the thing, Ray. You said main characters. If I am somebody on that Raw roster, particularly my man Gunther, aka Slim Walt, I'm sitting there last night, Chris, with the belt on my shoulder, like, hey, ain't I a damn main character in this show, which I am the champion of? All I got was a 30-second vignette. That's all you can do for the champion?
I hate to break it to Gunther. He is not main event in WrestleMania. He'll be in a featured match.
What about night 1? Can he main event night 1?
Night 1?
Nah, he's not main eventing any night.
But what if, and I know we'll get to this, as John Cena is so vociferously campaigning for, what if John Cena wins the Royal Rumble and then goes up against Gunther? You still don't think he's going to be?
No, I think that could happen. That's not far-fetched. If someone made that prediction, I wouldn't be as upset with them as I was with them saying that Roman Reigns was going to lose to Solo Sikoa. But I'm just going by WWE and just the logic and the algorithms that I've been following for decades. They got a roster with John Cena, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk.
Yep.
I don't see how Gunther fits in the main event scene with that. I just don't. I think he'll be important at WrestleMania.
But Chris, I am the champion. I don't know why.
Dude, why you
he's about to. What I see happening is him either losing to Seth Rollins or losing to CM Punk, and then them having some kind of battle at WrestleMania over the belt.
So real quick, let's get a quick prediction. So in terms of WrestleMania, are we looking at those? Because you mentioned those 4, Chris, and I agree. Those are like your 4 pillars, for lack of a better term, of modern day WWE. And it's crazy because one of them is a part-timer and the other one's an old guy. No offense, Phil. But are we headed towards Cody and Cena on one night and Punk and Roman on another night? Is that what you're seeing right now?
That's what I'm kind of seeing. I and Triple H has kind of shown this time and time again. He's gonna chase the biggest bag he can chase. But when people were saying, "Oh, CM Punk is once he was done with AEW, WWE would never let him back in," we fucking knew better. This is wrestling, man. So I think with Triple H, his mind is going to be on the bag. I mean, how many years are you going to get to be able to say we had a show where our top matches were John Cena and Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and Seth Rollins? And Seth Rollins is, I don't even put Seth Rollins on the same level as I put like a Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, or John Cena. Seth Rollins, I put him on a tier under those guys.
Right.
So that
is Gunther on that tier, or is Gunther lower than that?
Gunther is a little bit lower than that. What do y'all think? I would say he's a little bit lower than that.
Honestly, and there's no disrespect to Gunther because we all respect that dude, love that man's work. But I would say like your S tier, is that what the kids are saying now, Ray?
Yeah.
Like your S tier is Cody, Roman, Punk, Cena.
Right.
And maybe Friendly Boss Rock if he ever decides to come back. Like that's
right.
It.
Yeah.
The next tier, I would have Seth and Drew.
Yeah, right.
Like I think Seth and Drew is that next tier, and then the third tier. I think KO's on this next tier. So I've got KO. KO, Sammy, Jay, and Gunther on that next tier, which sucks because Gunther he's the damn champion of the show that debuted on Netflix last night, and he got 30 seconds, right? Exactly. 30 seconds, that's all that man got.
That package was crisp, though.
He couldn't even sit in the audience next to Macaulay Culkin, right?
I know, right? It's crazy, too, because, like, I was starting to have high hopes for the New Day stuff. And then last night they were just made to look like jokes again. So I'm starting to, there were some early rumors that they were flirting with the idea of leaving WWE this year.
Yeah.
After that segment last night where they were clowning around
with Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah. Like not even Gabriel Iglesias isn't even a fucking C-level stand-up comedy comedian.
And again, no disrespect to Gabriel Iglesias because he's funny, but he is
funny.
His heyday was like 5 to 10 years ago.
Right? Yeah. It's like, and this is who you're palling around with. They don't even give you
and the audacity. Was it Kathy Kelly, the backstage interviewer?
Yeah,
it was Kathy Kelly.
The audacity of Kathy Kelly to be like, "Hey, we out of time." Like on Netflix, my girl. We out of time. Like we could go as long as we want on this streaming platform, and you talking about we out of time.
Not only did she say we out of time, but then flipped over to doggone America or Alpha Academy, let them get like 10, 15 seconds, and then said we out of time. Like,
not even like a tag team a team you're prioritizing. It's Alpha Academy, and it's like, what's going on with what? I don't understand why you do all this stuff with New Day to not have them featured on the debut episode of Netflix. And even the idea they had, to me, sounded a little bit ass backwards, because if the idea was you were going to debut Penta as Rey Mysterio's mystery tag partner and they were going to go up against New Day, Penta and Rey Mysterio would have to win that match. The New Day haven't wrestled as heels yet. We don't even know what their new theme music is. We know they're dressing in the Funky's 80s Studio 54 clothes. But
and, I think their new theme is going to be that Leangelo Ball track he got now.
Oh, okay. But I mean, it's like they don't feel him. They already don't feel important.
No, and I think what they should have done, and John Pollock and Wei Ting mentioned this last night when they did the review of Raw. Like they should have got rid of that whole segment with Gabriel Iglesias. Like again, no offense to Gabriel Iglesias, respect to that man Fluffy, but that segment wasn't it. They should have taken that segment from earlier in the episode where they like talked about Kendrick and they like were really riling up the LA crowd. That should have happened in the ring because that would have been some crazy heat in that building. But no, they're just off to the side.
Yeah. And Gabriel Iglesias was on a canceled Netflix sitcom. That wasn't that funny.
Was he? What was it? Was it the remake of One Day? Was it the remake of One Day at a Time?
No, he wasn't on that. There was it was his own sitcom, and Sherry Shepherd was on there for a couple episodes. Sherry Shepherd. And there were some other people. It wasn't great. I mean, I think Fluffy is like when I look at top tier stand-up comedians, Fluffy
he had his time. He
had his time. He's funny, but it's not like he's not somebody I'm trusting to carry.
Like he had a little brief pop. Like again, this is almost 10 years ago when he had his own show on Comedy Central. Like when Comedy Central was a thing for breaking comedians, like, and that was funny and it was good. But it's like it's been a minute, dog. We done had a whole pandemic since your career was on top.
Right? Yeah. Like if I'm looking at my Latin comedians, like George Lopez stands the test of time.
Yeah, George Lopez is always gonna have his spot.
Yeah, it's like I just worry about the New Day.
I'm imagining George Lopez in that segment with the New Day, and it's 100 times better.
I am too. Right? Yeah.
Like Alpha Academy comes up to help George Lopez, and he's like, "I got this."
Yeah. That segment needed to be scrapped.
So let's talk about it real quick though, because I do want to talk about the matches a little bit more and then get to our main event. But real quick, like this was an LA show in every sense of the word, Chris. From the production, the hype, the damn Goodyear blimp, like I said. The amount of celebrities in the building, like we saw just littered throughout the crowd, celebrities and active performers on the roster, they would go to like during all of these commercial breaks. Just here's who's in the crowd. Here's Travis Scott lighting a blunt next to Jay Uso. Here's Macaulay Culkin.
Right.
Yes, another charge for Jay. Here's Macaulay. Like technically that's entrapment though, because y'all had this man smoking next to him at his job. Jay didn't ask for that. It's entrapment, Your Honor.
It's legal in
that
California
is true. But you probably shouldn't smoke a joint before, at least not on camera, before you go wrestle a match. That ain't the wisest move, Jay.
That's the Netflix era, baby.
It is the Netflix era. Anything is possible.
On USA.
But we had Travis Scott, we had Wale, we had Macaulay Culkin, we had Vanessa Hudgens. We had Seth Green. We had Baby Cube, O'Shea Jackson in the building. And we had, they did my boy Will dirty. We had Danielle Fishel Topanga in the building with her husband, my man Will Friedle, a.k.a. Eric Matthews, a.k.a. even bigger than Eric Matthews to me, Ray. And I think you know where I'm going if you know where I'm going. What's Will Friedel's other biggest credit to me, that man was Terry from Batman Beyond. He was the new Batman. They ain't put no respect on his brother's name. It was just Danielle Fishel and friend.
Well, this is what I think happened, because I was listening to Pop Meets World.
Talk to us.
Danielle Fishel did make mention that she was going to be going to the WWE show. And then she asked Ryder and Will if they were going to go. And Ryder's not having any of that shit. That motherfucker is the English professor or something. Like he wasn't doing that. But I think what's his name? Will was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. So I think when they got the list of celebrities who was gonna be at the show, I think Daniel Fishel's name was already on the list, and Will was kind of added later because Daniel Fishel is the resident wrestling fan. You know, she's been on AEW, she's been on ROH,
which makes sense for the Chiron Chris for like the name, the lower third. I get that. I get why Will didn't have a lower third. They ain't even acknowledge that man's name though. Like
because I don't think they knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? I think because most of his stuff nowadays is voice work. You know, he's the voice of Star-Lord on the Guardians of the Galaxy cartoon. He was the voice of Terry McGinnis, the voice of
he kills it in voice work.
Yeah,
he's a really good voice actor.
Yeah, what's the dude's name on Thundercats? The main
Lion-O.
one. Yeah, he was the voice of him on the remake of that. So he's doing his thing with the voice world. I just don't think WWE realized that they had kind of a star with him. I don't think they cared, you know, like they don't know who he is, and they probably didn't even know who Topanga was. They were probably giving that on the run.
Just giving notes.
Right, yeah. I just don't see Michael Cole ever watching Boy Meets World. Even when Vader was on there back.
McAfee should have known. No, he's in that age range.
Right, yeah, he should have known, yeah.
But here's the thing. There was one celebrity amongst all these celebrities that I never thought would get the Stone Cold pop. Our boy Kevin McAllister on these streets, Ray Wilson. You would have thought he was the Rock, the way people was like, yo, that's Macaulay Culkin. Like, what was he your favorite celebrity reveal, Ray?
He was my favorite. It was just like he had the ball cap down, and then like like you expertly demonstrated at the beginning of the show. But it's just like the reveal. I was like, oh snap, and then just to hear everybody go off. So yeah, that was my favorite celebrity. And then I didn't realize like Vanessa Hudgens has been getting out here on these WWE
she stay on these WWE streets.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was that big a fan.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin does too. Macaulay Culkin's been going to these shows for decades, and I think he interacts with wrestling fans and stuff too. I think he likes the wrestling fan world more than he did the celebrity world. I think the stories about how big of an asshole his dad Kit Culkin was is legendary, you know. So I think he dabbles in movies every once in a while, but he's a wrestling fan, and that's
like the fact that Macaulay's still with us, man, and so many of his contemporary like young child actors, they gone, man. Like shout out to Macaulay Culkin, man.
Right, yeah, and like even his older brother Buzz got arrested for some sexual assault shit.
With Buzz McAllister?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Buzz, your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so
it's good to also see. Like, I was surprised that his brother wasn't there. I guess his brother isn't a big fan, but Kieran Culkin is.
Kieran.
He's been blowing up. I think he's been getting a lot of kind of awards attention for a movie that he came out with, A Real Pain. So
and then the TV show he was on, what's the HBO one that he did?
Succession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got an Emmy for that, didn't he?
Yeah. So he's been killing it in the past few years.
Well, speaking of killing it, Ray.
Oh,
I think there's been enough talking.
It's
time for the main event. So, speaking of killing it, Ray, somebody came out and killed the vibe of the party that we were witnessing, and it was none other than another ad, yes, but we had a WWE Hall of Famer. Somebody who is now, as we learned yesterday, is in business, in partnership with TKO, because they are a minority or a shareholder in his company. Ladies and gentlemen, we saw the return of Hulk Hogan. It pains me to even say that name, but you know, Terrence from Florida, Terrence Bartholomew Balea. Terrence from Florida showed up, dragged 79-year-old Jimmy Hart. I don't know if he's 79, but he looks 79. No,
81. 81.
I gave you a little bit better. Like you look young, Jimmy. Almost 79, brother. But we saw Hogan trot Jimmy Hart out there to sell his real American beer, which is a thing that exists in 2025, and he proceeded to get booed out of the Intuit Dome, despite trying to use the legacy of Macho Man Randy Savage and Andre the Giant as shields for him. They booed the hell out of this man, Terry Bollea, and it was music to my ears, folks.
Yes. It was
talk to him, Chris.
This was pathetic, man. Like the fact that you like, why do we need patriotism with fucking beer? Is what I'm trying to understand. It's beer. It's there to get you drunk.
You tired of all these woke beers, brother?
Yeah.
Colt 45. That's a DEI beer, brother.
Right. And people are making all kinds of like assertions as to why Hogan got booed. One of my idiot friends, Jason Aledo from Pro Wrestling Powerhouse, was blaming.
I love that he's your idiot friend.
Well, he's an acquaintance. I wouldn't even know if I call him a friend anymore.
Idiot acquaintance.
Yeah, but he was talking about the one thing that sucked about this show is the woke LA crowd booing Hulk Hogan. This motherfucker got booed in Tampa.
Yep.
So, like you can blame the wokeness of it. But here's the thing with there are levels to magadom, right? The Undertaker appeared on the show last night. He did not get booed. Now, what I'll say to that too is they did keep the music playing the whole time he was out there and revving up the motorcycle. But
people were still kind of jazzed off of Rhea Ripley winning.
Right, yeah. But I don't in any case, I don't think the Undertaker would have gotten booed the way Hogan does because Hogan is ignorant with his magadom. Undertaker.
What are you saying, Chris? You're not down with the MAGA powers, brother?
Right, yeah, that's the shit right there. The MAGA powers. What are you gonna do when Trump made? Undertaker wasn't doing all that shit. Undertaker had to do it on his podcast,
right?
Which is bad enough, but he had him on the podcast. On the very next episode, he said, "I still love Mick Foley and Batista, and politics don't matter that much to me."
Yeah.
I'm somebody that can believe him when he says that. We talked about how problematic that ideology was on the last episode of NWA, and Kate from Montreal eloquently spoke on that too. Go listen to that episode if you haven't. But the problem with Hulk Hogan that doesn't exist with the Undertaker is the Undertaker kept it pushing after he said it. He hasn't gone on a MAGA tour after doing it. It's easy to kind of see that. Hulk Hogan, Kamala Harris, California is her home state. Okay. Kamala Harris is popular in California. Kamala Harris is popular in parts of California that you would not think she'd be popular in. All of this is facts. You know, you talked about body slamming this woman. And then you come to her fucking backyard, you know, trying to shill your beer and shill your bag of crap and think people are gonna be cheering you and be down with that. You know, we don't play that shit in LA, man. We don't play that shit in California.
And another thing, Chris, is yes, like people that look like us, we was booing Hulk anyway. Just still, like to this day.
Yep.
To this day, Ray Williams, based off of that stupid Bubba the Love Sponge tape with Hulk was sleeping with Bubba's wife, which is weird. And then you know, he dropped the N-word and said all this racist stuff. Like we was booing you anyway for that, Hulk. Like the MAGA stuff was just the cherry on top.
It was, yeah.
But you didn't got all because I'm willing to bet, Chris, that the majority of that crowd was not like black. Like, and
Right.
they chose to boo you, Terry Bollea. They
Right.
chose to reject what you were selling. Not only your cheap, bigoted beer. You should call it Bigot Brew. Like that has a snappier name to it. Bigot Brew,
Right, yeah.
brother. You're tired of these undesirable people coming into your neighborhood. Pop a can of Bigot Brew, brother.
Let them know
from
you
the
can't
makers
be
of
canceled with Bigot Brew.
Right.
from the makers of Racetrol, Bigot
Right.
Brew. But it's like,
yeah.
and
Go
I think,
ahead,
Chris,
man.
to your point, and I want to kick it back to you. But I think the point is like that you're making. Like, yes, Undertaker did have Trump on the podcast. Undertaker has, rocked the Blue Lives Matter shirt and all that. But it's only to a certain point.
Yep.
And with Hulk, what Hulk did that I think pissed off wrestling fans in particular is if you want to vote for Trump, if you want to, campaign for Trump, whatever, it's keep it cute. But I think where he crossed the line with wrestling fans in a way was when you take your wrestling stuff and you make that your campaign for Trump.
Right.
When you take all the real American stuff that the character of Hulk Hogan, that a lot of these people were into, and you use that to promote a guy that they may feel is not qualified to be the president. When you're Trump-mania is running wild, brother, what you gonna do when the MAGA, like he's not out there talking as Terry Bollea. He is talking as Hulk Hogan in front of the RNC.
Right.
And I think that's the line for some of these wrestling fans where they're like, nah, bro, you ain't gonna fuck up my childhood, Terry.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And he drew his line in the sand, it's when the easier route for, in my opinion, would have been just him saying, look, I sincerely apologize for all the racist stuff I said.
Right.
I was going through whatever I was going through. Mm-hmm. It was wrong. It was despicable. I shouldn't have did it. I'm sorry. And I think a lot of people would have forgotten about it. A lot of people would still remember it because when you do stuff like that, you're always going to have a contingent of people who are always going to hate you. And there's nothing you could do about that. But I think in the general masses would have probably moved on from this stuff by now. But Hulk Hogan has just shown time and time and time again that he's a disgusting human being. He is not worthy of forgiveness. I didn't feel bad for Jimmy Hart because Jimmy Hart,
what you do, baby? Oh.
He's a smart man. He may like, look, dude, I hope Jimmy Hart isn't backstage saying the N-word with Hogan, but he did earlier in the day yesterday. When Hogan was wearing that MAGA shirt, Jimmy posed in a picture with him. He didn't say, take that shirt off, baby. Let him wear the shirt.
What a good look, Daddy.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, I'm not posing.
This might not play in LA, Daddy.
Yeah, I'm not posing in pictures with people wearing MAGA shirts. If you got the MAGA shirt on, that's got to be removed before we take a picture. It's just a general. If it's a group picture, and I'm not posing with you. I could be caught in a picture with someone wearing a MAGA shirt. I'm not going to be arm around the shoulder doing this shit. That's just not happening. You gotta be, you have to be smarter than this if you choose to be in Hulk Hogan's purview. If you choose to be in Hulk Hogan's orbit, you have to understand this guy is not liked. He is a pariah in most circles. This thing is not going to be exclusive to Los Angeles. I want people to know this. Anytime they go to a big enough city, you can expect a reaction like that or similar to that. They're going to be.
I cannot wait, Chris. I cannot wait until Saturday night's main event.
Yeah,
when they go to San Antonio, because even though that's in Texas, it's gonna be a lot of them boo birds out. Like it's gonna be a lot of them big women, as Charles Barkley would say, that's booing this man Terry Bollea.
Yeah, and San Antonio is a blue city. It's a city. That's what makes a fucking city a city.
Probably some of the same immigrants that he been trying to kick out too.
Right? Yeah,
it's up in there.
Yeah,
booming.
there's diversity in cities, right?
Mhm.
There's culture in cities that don't exist in these small towns. So if you go to fucking shit stain Kentucky, you'll get the Hogan crowd there.
Hell of a
You know?
town. Hell of a town.
Right, yeah. But if you're going to fucking any real city, you know, like if you're going to Seattle, if you're going to Los Angeles, if you're going to New York in front of the WWE crowd, if it was a UFC crowd, he'd probably get a different reaction. Like,
And that's the thing too. Like,
Yeah.
and John and Wade brought this up last night too, because
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
you know, they're both under the TKO umbrella. You could have had Hulk Hogan do the exact same thing at a UFC card, right? And you know, as somebody that covers that sport, the reaction would be entirely different from that audience.
And he actually did. He came out with Colby Covington coming
Right.
out for his most recent
Yeah.
fight.
And I think
they
that's
got
kind
cheered.
and I think him coming out with Colby Covington, it was another catalyst for him getting booed at the WWE event, because Colby Covington is not liked out here. You know, so it's WWE has to. If I were them, I would not. You don't have to.
No, it's so bad, and I rarely give Pat McAfee the praise, because Pat's somebody I'm kind of hot and cold on, right? As a broadcaster,
I think
but the Pat McAfee show today, they roasted Hulk Hogan, and that's supposed to be your boy. Like, y'all work together, and he roasted this man, Terry Bollea.
Yeah, Samantha Irvin was on Twitter, roasting him yesterday too, and I don't even. I followed her and Ricochet just to show love for that roast she was doing Hulk Hogan yesterday, man. She was retweeting all the insults on him. She was talking about how racist he was. So shout out to her. But I like, WWE is gonna have to make a decision. If I were them, I would just not have. You don't have to erase him from history, because he is a big part of the history. But like, he's not important moving forward. He
is not important, but B, like, again, yes, you cannot take away what he has meant to this company.
Yeah.
But if, again, it all goes back to his decisions. Nobody made him say the N-word on that sex tape. Nobody made him say the derogatory things about black people. That was all a choice he made. Nobody made him, decide to, go to the S tier of Magadum. That was a decision he made. Nobody made him, not apologize. Because I think, again, Chris, a lot of this would have been mitigated if 10 years ago he would have been like, hey, you know what, dude, that was my bad. I was in a rough place, man. My life was a little bit out of order, man. I'm going through a divorce and sleeping with my best friend's girl, and you know how it goes. Yeah. And so, I apologize, brother. Like, if he would have just given us an apology,
right,
I think a lot of this would have been mitigated. But now, Terry, you want to do what you want to do, brother. So this is on you, Terry. And also for Jimmy Hart, again, look great for a man of 81. Like damn, near look 79, my boy. But I will always hold a grudge against Jimmy Hart, because I can't prove this. I can't verify this. I would not say this on the NWA podcast, because we're under the Post banner, and I don't want John and Wade to get hit with some lawsuits. But I believe, like, Ray, do you remember a promotion called WrestleLicious?
Yes.
So WrestleLicious here's the backstory on WrestleLicious. WrestleLicious was started by this man named Jonathan Vargas, this young man named Jonathan Vargas, who was like some factory worker or grocery store worker in Mississippi or Louisiana, one of those spots. And he hit the lottery, hit the Powerball. And I think he was like one of the youngest winners ever to win the Powerball at like 20, 21 years old. And his thing was, and again, I can't really hate on the kid too much, because I would have gone about it in a smarter way, but still, as a wrestling fan, I would have wanted to use some of my Powerball money to get into this industry that I love. And so Jonathan Vargas was like, I want to start a wrestling company, an all-girls wrestling company. And Jonathan Vargas's mistake, in my opinion, Ray and Chris, was not to call the OG, not to call the GOAT of women's wrestling, David McClain, and be like, hey, David McClain, you want to collab? No. He called up Jimmy Mouth of the South Hart and said, hey, how do we start this wrestling company? And I'm sure Jimmy was like, how much you say you want, baby? Oh, yeah, we going to get this popping, daddy. Leave everything to me, Jonathan. Leave everything to me. Ha ha. And so Jonathan Vargas and Jimmy Hart went into business together. Long story short, Wrestlicious lasted one season, didn't really pop at all. And a couple years later, not even a couple years later, like maybe a year later, Jonathan Vargas was broke, like broke, like MC Hammer broke, as they say in White Chicks. And I believe that was in large part due to dealing with Jimmy Hart, because I'm sure Jimmy Hart wasn't looking out for this kid at all. Like, hey, you might want to invest in this while we're doing this wrestling thing. Jimmy saw the bag. Jimmy took the bag. Jimmy ran with the bag, and his brother is back working at a grocery store 4 years after winning the damn lottery.
I remember those Wrestlicious commercials they were showing where they were singing that stupid song. Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, I would if I ever hit the Powerball, I'd never invest in anything.
Like you can say it's the kid's fault for putting his money into this race, but come on, Jimmy knew better.
No,
Jimmy knew better, man.
I mean, it's wrestling. You that's the first thing. That's why you don't invest in wrestling, man. You don't if you're gonna invest in wrestling, you do a podcast. You don't get into the business with wrestlers because it's just too many problems there that exist that you don't know nothing about, right? Like I remember Dawn Marie was starting some wrestlers mission stuff where she was giving charity to all these wrestlers, and people were complaining about the money that they were supposed to be given. I just wouldn't do that shit. Like, if I'm giving you money, I'm just gonna give it to you and move on. I'm not gonna promise you a goddamn thing. It's just not worth it dealing with wrestlers. And it's not a knock on wrestlers. It's just the profession has been constructed in such a way where there's a lot of like depleted souls in this industry, people who have been through the ringer.
Back to the porn star analogy, Ray. That's all I know, baby, is how to take people money.
Yeah. They've been to hell and back and all that shit. So you don't that's if you win the lottery, give your money to me and I can just waste it for you.
Invest in nefarious media, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Chris is saying. Invest in. So you talk about not giving your money to wrestlers, and so this is kind of awkward because Ray Williams, I just learned today, is a minority shareholder in Real American Beer. So what did you think about that segment last night, brother?
First, I would have spelled it with 3 K's instead of the C. No. But no, I'm in agreement with you guys. I just think that it was a really bad look, and not only to kind of bolster what you said, Chris, about just being in business and still having him when you know that right now he's not really relevant. And so you really don't need him to push anything right now. And I know I know you mentioned this earlier, Nate. You were going to think of a different alternative of a superstar who we do agree with that also has a beer out. But I was just going to say that not only are they continuing to push him out, but now it's been announced that they do have not only this deal with Real American Beer, but that they also have partial ownership of it as well. So now it's kind of like you guys are just
stuck,
kind of just standing firm, like you're literally standing on business with this guy. It's like this is really this is really the outlook, or this is really the image that you guys want to portray as far as your business is being concerned. But I don't really think that they care that much, because if they did, they would have listened again. Like you said, Chris, they would have listened back 4 years ago when he was getting booed in his own home state, in his own home city. But I just think that they're so caught in the nostalgia. And by the way, Jimmy Hart, I know our beige forefather has some brother Marcus, he has some memories about Jimmy Hart, or not Jimmy Hart, but Johnny B. Bad, and not knowing what side of the aisle that brother stood on. That's how I was with Jimmy Hart when I was growing up. It's like, is this brother part of the culture? He looked very dark. I don't know. I don't know if he was on our side or not. But then I kind of put two and two together later on in life.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know about the allegations of that brother Nate is kind of portraying brother Jimmy Hart. I feel for that brother Jonathan. Hopefully you get on your feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like they know what they're getting into with Hogan, and it's kind of we've been talking about this on episodes of NWA before. It's like you said earlier, Chris, is other people out here that are kind of putting their stamp behind, or not in the far right aspect, but putting their stamp behind Trump. We saw doggone Triple H at the event in UFC and giving that up to
hell,
Trump.
Tiffany Stratton is later than so many of y'all are happy that she beat the magnanimous Queen Nia Jax. Y'all love y'all some Tiffy time, even though she really trumpet time. Like Tiffany Stratton is MAGA, but she ain't out here like being egregious with it. And I think that's the thing, right? Like from our artists, from our entertainers, from our performers, I think there's a line where people understand, like, hey, everybody's got their own political beliefs. But when you take the thing, like you work yourself into a shoot almost, right? When you take the thing that we are paying to see you as, like not yourself, not the human being, not the person, like don't nobody give a damn about what Terry Bollea does.
Right.
But there are some people out there that care about Hulk Hogan. I'm not one of them, never have been, never will be. But there's a lot of people out there that care about the character of Hulk Hogan. And when you attach that character to this thing that is off-putting to so many of them, that's why you get in his response, in addition to being a racist.
Right. And I think
having disgusting beer. I ain't never tried it, but I imagine it's cheaply made and disgusting.
Yeah, I'm sure it tastes like piss water. But anyway, I think with Triple H, there's enough plausible deniability with him and Magadam because he doesn't really talk about politics.
No.
He can say, I went to UFC because I'm part of TKO, or he could even say, you know, I went to Mar-a-Lago because I had a business meeting with Trump. I could honestly believe
with the Hall of Famer kid.
Right. I could honestly believe if Kamala Harris would have won, Triple H would be in pictures with her too.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan is a different kind of scumbag. And I think that's what kind of makes people. He's an attention whore, you know. He did endorse Barack Obama in 2008, but then once he got caught saying that racist stuff, I think he figured that he'd be best suited on the MAGA side of the aisle. The problem with being MAGA is not mainstream. Again, a majority of people did not vote for MAGA. A plurality of people voted for MAGA. It wasn't like an overwhelming amount of people. That's why it's surprising me when I see all these fucking so-called left-leaning people like trying to make excuses for MAGA and shit. Like, this is not where the country is at. You know, it's just a bunch of motherfuckers who either didn't vote, some Starlink bullshit, a lot of reasons why Kamala Harris didn't win. And I think Hulk Hogan is very horrible at reading the room. I think Hulk Hogan thinks he thinks people like him and they don't. I mean, even the MAGAs in WWE don't really like him. Undertaker.
That's the thing. That's the thing right there. Like even people that voted the same way as you, Terry, ain't really rocking with you, dog.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm sure, like, I have no verification of Pat McAfee's voting records, nephew, but I'm pretty sure, nephew, he ain't even here. Ray, you're like a nephew. You're like an adjacent nephew, Ray.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sure Pat McAfee and I voted differently on election night. But even then, Pat McAfee ain't messing with Hulk.
Right. And I also think, too, like, this brother can't even keep the racism off the beer. Like, when I think Chris, you brought it up when the I think it was the influencer who was trying to work with
Yes.
Hulk to kind of promote the beer when she ends up getting fired, and then she
Oh
claims
yeah,
that
yeah. I talked about this.
she claims that she kind of got like some bigoted behaviors
This
and
beer's not
some
for your kind of people, sister.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and I
like that. And then
and I
that happened, and then
yeah.
all the stuff with him talking about Kamala, and then talking about I might be a little drunk. I shouldn't be saying it. Like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
that's the thing. So here's my final prediction for the whole Hogan Trump WWE relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they might. I wouldn't do this if I were them, but I think they might try to test the waters in San Antonio when he gets, as the police chase after me. But when
Hogan called the cops on you.
yeah, but when about half of the building there boos him, I do think they'll start rethinking the relationship with Hogan. That kind of is what happened with Ric Flair in AEW, right?
Yeah,
like
with
he
the
started
Woo energy.
he started getting reactions that Tony Khan I don't think was necessarily anticipating, and they just start kind of phasing him out slowly.
And that's the other thing too, Chris, because not to cut you off, but not only is like Triple H voted for the same person that this man Hulk Hogan voted for, but at the end of the day, Triple H's job is to promote this company and make money for this company. And if there gets to be a point where, because again, one of the biggest things coming out of your big debut on Netflix, a night that should be filled with nothing but praise for this company. Right. One of the big stories is, they booed the hell out of this man, Hulk Hogan. And I feel like if this happens enough times, they'll still be in business because there's contracts here, Chris. But he's going to have like a little teeny tiny square on the mat that says Real American Beer, and that's all the promotion you're going to get, my boy.
Right. And Ray, if you don't mind, if you could Google Hulk Hogan getting booed and share the screen, this thing made it across platforms. This was on Sports Illustrated. This shit was on fucking
Variety.
It was on Variety, Sports Illustrated. It was on CBS Sports. It was on USA Today. My dudes at Midas Touch covered it. It was everywhere. There was no hiding from this. The Ringer. This was a top headline. So I do not know. This is not the kind that he got fucking Netflix booed on Netflix.
Yes. He got Netflix booed. He got Randy Savage booed. He got Andre the Giant booed.
Yeah.
Nasty work.
So what are the headlines we're getting up there with Hogan getting booed? Like the stuff.
I just put in Hulk Hogan Raw Netflix. We got New York Post, Paul McAfee show mocks Hulk Hogan getting booed at WWE Raw. Variety, Hulk Hogan booed heavily during Monday Night Raw Netflix debut. MSNBC, Hulk Hogan's cameo at WWE Raw's Netflix debut did not get a warm reception.
Real quick, Ray, before you read some more headlines, 3 words that keep popping up in all of these headlines: Hulk Hogan, WWE, Netflix.
Yeah.
2 of them people ain't happy to be associated in those headlines.
I know, right? Is this the publicity that you want? And this is something to me, this doesn't take any soul searching. We're done. If I'm Triple H, if I'm Nick Khan, if I'm the head honchos at Netflix, I want nothing to do with this fucker. He gets the Vince McMahon treatment. But
like I said, the only thing we gonna put a logo on the mat so that way we fulfill our contractual obligations. But you ain't coming back on the show, my boy.
Right. Yeah.
Give me some more headlines, Ray. Give me some more headlines.
And I'm sure Netflix, because I know how these corporations do, because I've done crisis management for a lot of these companies. There's always an out clause. I don't think Trump, I don't know how dry that ink is, But there's always an out clause, man. They might have a settlement thing where it's like, look, it's not going to work out, and they'll pay.
You got a contract, brother.
Right. And there, I don't think Real American Beer is going to.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yeah. That could actually be the best thing for Real American Beer. Because here in the world we live in, Chris, if they cut ties with him, he's going to spin it right around and talk specifically to that MAGA crowd and be like, see, I'm being silenced, brother. They don't want a real American telling you how it is, Jack.
They're trying to cancel me, brother.
That's always how it is with these MAGA types, though. This is the trajectory for them. This is why they're horrible business people. There was a basketball player for the Orlando Magic a few years ago. And I don't know what his politics were, but he refused to
Jonathan Isaacs, I want to say.
He refused to take a knee, and for like 3 weeks he had the top selling jersey in the NBA, and then people realized,
and then they remembered he was black.
Yeah, and then they remembered he wasn't that good of a basketball player either. He was okay, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he's gonna get his shine off of this. It's not gonna be long lasting, you know.
Right.
You'll get your fucking 3 weeks, your month off of it. But people aren't going to be fucking with real American Beer like that. MAGAs are not loyal consumers.
And here's the thing, especially if the beer is bad. Because here's the thing. I remember a couple years ago when MAGAdom was up in arms about Bud Light. Guess what they're drinking right now?
Right.
Damn Bud Lights. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what part of the political spectrum you're on, in America, you are a consumer. And your loyalty to brands a lot of times will supersede your loyalty to other things, Chris. And if the beer is trash, they ain't gonna drink it, dog.
Right. It's like when Chick-fil-A got into that nonsense and people were like boycott Chick-fil-A. I wasn't a fan of Chick-fil-A's politics, but I'm not boycotting Chick-fil-A.
Chris, to that point, again, because it works on both sides of the aisle. During the Chick-fil-A protests, I can't tell you how many brothers and sisters I had in the LGBTQ community that'd be like, hey, you going to Chick-fil-A, dog?
Right, yeah.
Like they ain't trying to go up in there, but damn it if that chicken sandwich don't hit, Ray.
Right, yeah. And here's the thing with the Chick-fil-A stuff too, because the way Chick-fil-A's franchising model works is they don't do franchises in the traditional sense. Most of the franchisees, they get one store and they run that store, and their store, they could be all kind of different personalities with Chick-fil-A. The woman that owns the Chick-fil-A in Pasadena, I knew her when I was working at Pasadena City College. She was a black woman. I think she was from African country. Very nice woman. She wasn't doing all the MAGA right-wing bullshit. I was not gonna not support her because I don't like what the Kathy family does. You know, was that
the Chick-fil-A you stole all of the tenders out of, dog?
Probably, I don't know. She was real friendly with them because she would sponsor like our Black Student Union events and stuff like that.
Again, the NWA podcast on Post, one of the greatest stories ever told on episode 1. Chris Ely had a whole illegal chicken tender smuggling ring going on at the back of Chick-fil-A.
But yeah, so she was cool. It's like the Hogan stuff isn't that complicated. Sometimes when you're a consumer and you're buying stuff, you got to make hard choices and all that stuff. Hulk Hogan, he's gonna get his spike once Netflix and kick him to the curb. But then people are gonna realize that he's played out. And that's the problem.
And the beer's not good,
right? But like if you look at all of these MAGA people that are celebrities and where they end up landing at, they don't last forever. You know, MAGA only takes you so far. Like Stacey Dash, I mean, Look at her. You know, then she's doing reality shows on BET.
There's the low key secret, which is not a secret to anybody that's watching or paying attention. The low key secret about MAGA is, you might pop for a little bit Terry Bollea, you might pop for a little bit Stacey Dash, you might pop for a little bit Sage Steele, but there's only one star. There's only room for one star in MAGA, Chris, and that's my boy at the top.
Right.
Ain't nobody else is like even damn Elon. Even Elon is getting little brothered in MAGA because there's only room for one star.
Or is he? He might. I don't know. He might be playing the long game because I think I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how that movie turns out.
Maybe they are a WWE tag team. We're wondering if they can coexist. I brought it back to wrestling eventually.
I mean, that's the one hope that I have for this country is
there's a coup from Elon Musk.
Not so much a coup from Elon Musk is that Republicans are so disorganized that
they can't get anything done.
The stuff that I was worried about might not happen the same way that I thought it was going to happen. Because with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they're already at odds with each other, and Trump is having a tweet about how he's the one that's the president. When you have to tweet about stuff like that, that's already a bad.
So what you're saying, Chris, is Trump and Elon Musk in this scenario. This is at the end of Endgame. Trump is Star-Lord, and Elon Musk is Thor. Like, no, you're totally the president, dude. You're totally the president. Like, yeah, that's right, because I am the president, right, guys? Totally.
we gotta wait and see.
America. So let's get away from Terry Bollea and wrap up this episode of Raw that we saw. Again, getting back to the wrestling of it all, Ray, because that to me was like we had good wrestling, good solid matches, like you said, but none of it really felt consequential. Like we had the Bloodline storyline, or not the Bloodline storyline, but OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline. Like that story is effectively, if not over, has a definite stopping point right now. The Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan feud is finally over. Tom finally caught Jerry, or maybe the other way around, depending on who is who. That story is over. Looks like Seth Rollins and CM Punk. That story's over. Jimmy and Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. That story's over. So we had 4 big endings to these stories that have been going on, Chris, that have been going on, Ray. But honestly, none of it really felt consequential because that wasn't the purpose of the episode last night.
Yeah. Right. And this is were you gonna say something, Ray? Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say real quick, especially when they just kept like, God bless Michael Cole, but he's just trying to hammer over your head, like especially during that CM Punk Seth Rollins match. Like, this is an instant classic. I was like, I don't know if it's all that, dog.
It's good. Yeah, Michael Cole was getting high off his own supply. All night last night, man.
I never thought I'd be able to say this, ladies and gentlemen. The aerial footage brought to you by the Goodyear play. Like, again, as a broadcaster, yes, that's cool, Michael Cole. But at the same time, it's like, come on, my boy. Come on, man. Come on, dog.
He got up on the table and started eating too with Pat McAfee. Yeah. I'm like, if you don't get down.
Oh, also, I'm gonna say it. Call me a hater if you want, America and abroad. And everybody, again, shout out to everybody watching right now. If you have thoughts about the first edition of Raw on Netflix, drop them in the chat. We'll bring them up as we start to wrap things up. But call me a hater, Ray. No disrespect to Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. I kind of missed your boy Joe Tess last night.
Yeah.
Joe Tess was killing it for a few weeks.
Right. I agree. Joe Tessitore was much better. I think so. I mean, I think he brought a level of excitement without the overhyped horniness.
There was a level of excitement, Chris, but also I think a level of credibility and realism. Like, this dude we've been listening to talk about all these great boxing matches over the years, and he's bringing that voice to the WWE. So I thought, like, even if you wanted to go back to Michael Cole and have Michael Cole and Joe Tess. Like, I feel like Joe Tessitore's voice was missed on this show because it could have grounded the show a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm surprised that Joe Tessitore even lowers himself to do Raw.
Hey, even lowered money is good money, Chris. Sometimes
I know, right? As long as the fucking check clears,
exactly.
I ain't mad at you. Yeah, I ain't mad at you, but I mean, yeah, I think he was missed. WWE, there's some problems with it, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about it on the NWA podcast. Solo Sikoa. Now, this isn't him as a human being, so I want to make sure I preface this.
No,
The guy sucks as a character.
Come on, don't do it to Solo, Chris.
I have to. Here's the thing. What year were you born, Ray?
85.
Okay, so you're in our range, so you're not that off. I grew up in an era in the 90s where there was just so many fake wannabe like clones of original stuff that was good. You had the fake Razor Ramon, you had the fake Diesel, you had the fake Double J, you had the fake Blackjacks, you had the fake Rockers, you had just so many fake things. And Solo Sikoa, they are calling this dude the new tribal chief. Anytime you are the new something, especially in wrestling, you are nothing. You are nobody.
Chris, don't do that to the new Midnight Express.
The new Midnight Express. Oh, thank you. It was all of these like shitty things, and most of them came from WWE. WCW had a couple like Perfection and who's the other one? The Perfect Event where he was trying to be the fake Lex Luger. They had a lot of this shit in the 90s, and it was pathetic. Solo Sikoa is an extension of that. When Roman Reigns did the tribal chief, he did it so good and so excellent that you cannot just bring anybody else in and call them, oh, I'm the new tribal chief. That is not what you are. You are a fake fucking wannabe. And that is like, you can't do like Diesel and Razor Ramon when they did the fake Diesel and Razor Ramon. You can't replace Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. No matter how you feel about them, those two guys were originals. And say what you want about those characters resonated with people. You could call Nash the lowest drawing champ of all time, but Nash had an originality about him, and Scott Hall had an originality about him that can't be duplicated. And Roman Reigns, you can hate Roman Reigns all you want. The tribal chief character,
shout out to Jermaine,
but it belongs to him. That is who he is. He is always going to be that. Anybody else that comes along and calls themselves that is a cheap imitation of.
You said it didn't move you when Jacob looked up at Solo and said, "I love you, my tribal chief. I love you, Solo." It didn't move you.
No, it did. No. It did not, because it's not, like I said, Roman Reigns was the master at that. You know what I'm saying? Roman Reigns, and there were weeks I didn't love the bloodline stuff, but I always thought Roman Reigns was good at that part. I don't think you're not setting Solo Sikoa up for success for him aspiring to be the new Roman. Because that's essentially what you're doing. He's not trying to be his own guy. He is trying to be Roman Jr. He is trying to do that.
Let me push back on that a little bit. I think that's what he was trying to do to start. But then I think he started developing the character a little bit more. I think he started kind of playing around and trying to find his own feet within what he thought would be the new tribal chief. And I think I think he was because that's all he pretty much knew when he was in the bloodline was how is Roman portraying the tribal chief. But I think especially within the last 3 to 6 months, he started finding his own, or within the last 3 months rather, he started finding his own way on how to portray who Solo is as the tribal chief. And that's why you would hear him come out and he would kind of make jokes and stuff. It's like he would kind of mock Roman and be like, oh, what you think this is? And it was kind of like he would kind of find a little bit of humor in that as well. So I think as we're seeing Solo develop, and I think he's going to grow even more, because like still considering Solo is still like he's only been in the WWE for what, maybe 3-4 years, maybe. Like he's still developing as a performer. And I think that this doesn't kill him. I think this just kind of puts the sunset on what he thought like the stolen tribal chief character would be. And I think that we can see him develop more from this. Now, I think probably now that he doesn't have the Ula Fala, is like that wounded animals with syndrome. Well, now it's like now he's got his back to the wall, and now he's just probably going to go all out now. But I am interested in seeing what happens to him as a character. Where does he go from here? So I kind of push back on a little bit of him being Roman Jr. I think that's how he started, but I definitely don't think that's how he ended it. And I think that there's more growth that he could go from here.
I'm pushing back on that hard. I think
Damn, good try, Ray. Good try, though, dog.
Look, here's the thing, though. As long as you're calling yourself the tribal chief, I don't give a fuck what you're doing differently. You're calling yourself something that somebody already did to perfection. You cannot be the new version of that. Leif Cassidy was never going to be more of Shawn Michaels. It's just not happening. You could be, and they tried to do Leif Cassidy like a 70s rocker or what. It's not happening.
But that's the thing, though. It's like the tribal chief isn't just a character, though. The tribal chief,
it's a title. Role. But the problem with it is the person that originated it. You can't just give that to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It's the person that inherits that, they have to be kind of like, if you're looking at the way they've been doing the Bullet Club for decades, they were kind of, anytime the new leader replaced somebody else, there was a strong effort to not make that new leader the duplicate of whatever else the other person was. They'd be the leader of the Bullet Club, but they have their own whole shtick and stuff, you know.
Like Kenny Omega was different than Prince Devitt was different.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, it wasn't the. It wasn't the same thing. I think when you are developing Solo Sikoa, and I do think it's a good thing. I'm not going to push back on, I think he'll be better off without this stuff. It's just, while this was going on, and I think the more he was going to feud with Roman Reigns, the less people were going to care about it. I think this feud needed to end weeks ago, months ago, but they ended it now. I don't want to see on Thursday him challenging Roman Reigns again.
Yeah, no more.
This has to end, because Solo Sikoa has to prove himself outside of this crap. And you know, it doesn't, like, I understand you want the bloodline as a strong brand. Why can't you develop a new brand, you know, and attach it to Solo and those people? I mean, the old WWE was good at doing this kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they were bad at doing it, like with X-Pac and the X Factor, you know, but sometimes they were good at it, you know. And
hey, yo, you dealing with the X Factor now, Chris.
Right. But you can always go back and revisit the bloodline, and it'll get a big pop. But right now, Solo Sikoa's got to find himself, and that's the one thing that Jimmy and Jay have found themselves as single wrestlers. Sami Zayn has found himself. Solo Sikoa is, I don't think he's not the greatest at promos. I think you said he was kind of funny. I mean, I don't remember. I don't like, what's your favorite Solo Sikoa promo? I don't know.
What you got, Ray?
Oh, no, you gonna put me on the spot.
It's not.
I was just like the totality. I wasn't picking one.
It's like asking Trump what's his favorite Bible verse. I like all of them.
Right, because I can tell you my favorite Sami Zayn promo. I like when Sami Zayn was saying he's not Uzi enough. I thought that was hilarious. I could tell you my favorite Jay Uso promo when he first said yeet. I could even kind of tell you my favorite Jimmy Uso promo. Solo Sikoa, I don't know what that fool's done.
I could say one particular thing. I think when Roman Reigns was trying to challenge him initially for the tribal combat, and then it was kind of like he was being stoic for a little bit, but then he just laughed in his face. Is like, why would I let you challenge for the Ulafala? I got it already. Like I kind of like
he was kind of like evoking Killmonger. Like, that challenge stuff is over, dog. I already got it.
Exactly. Yeah. I like that's one that stands out. And then of course, like another one that stands out was one that he didn't speak, was when Jacob Fatu was just talking for it.
Honestly, I think that and we've talked about it before, but I think that may be one of the biggest hindrances to Solo, because it's like he's almost the guy in the middle, because you can't be Roman. Like, Roman is a dude they've invested like a decade of the machine behind. So you can't be that guy. But you also maybe can't be Jacob, because Jacob got the goods and Jacob is next. Yeah. And so it's like he's not only got to find his character apart from Roman Ray, but he also's got to differentiate himself from Jacob and the other Samoans and the Tongans that they bringing in. So like, I think he can do it though, because I think he's talented. The question is like, what is going to be the route they take to let Solo stand on his own too?
Right. Yeah. Like I remember when I was with my ex-girlfriend,
and Halle Berry.
Wish. And when I was with my ex-girlfriend, and when she first saw Roman Reigns, she looked at him. This is when he was just a Shield person, like not even really had his own identity. She looked at him and was like, "Who is that guy?" You know, her eyes lit up and glowed. Same with my wife when she was my girlfriend.
That spelled the end of that relationship. She left Chris for Roman.
Right. And then my wife did the same thing. Roman has like
Brittany Monet don't even care about wrestling. And like the other, we talked on the first episode of the Parlay, which you can hear at the Kings of Sport. Like, she don't know nothing about no damn wrestling. And she, even Brittany was like, I know Roman Reigns is hot. Like, I know that much.
Yeah. It's like he's got something that just not a lot of people got. You know, he's got an aura about him, and he looks kind of mysteriously.
He got that Riz.
He's kind of got that Batista thing going on. And I think that when you've got that, like the sky is the limit for you. I understand WWE trying to over push Roman Reigns a little bit more than I did what they were trying to do with Cena. But the thing with Roman Reigns is, I think like the mistake they made with Cena was never turning him heel, because and people could say that wasn't a mistake because they made so much money. Yeah, but you don't know how much more money they could have made with that guy if you turned him, you know, and turned him back. Roman Reigns, once they turned him, he was able to let his personality come out, and now he's the biggest star in that company. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Roman Reigns is a bigger star than John Cena was. I think that's a fact at this point. I think Cody Rhodes is inching his way to becoming a bigger star than Cena was too. But I think Roman Reigns, they did everything right with Roman Reigns.
But again, Chris, it took how long it took? It took like 5, 6, 7 years for that
But
to happen for Roman Reigns. Even when you say like
it
when it was
took
back,
20 years for it to happen with Cena.
yeah, but I'm saying,
I mean, it just happened with Cena.
but I'm saying as far as because Cena's always had charisma though. So I mean,
Roman Reigns
but
has always had charisma too. They just didn't know how to tap into it.
Right.
That
I
was the
think, and he did, but he didn't know how to present that as far as him being a good guy as well as until he
The
turned
heel
and
run.
became a bad
right,
guy.
yeah. But that's my point though. They gave him the heel run. That's what's always needed with a lot of these cats. It's not going to work for everybody, but it definitely worked for Rocky Maivia, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they were force feeding him, and The Rock was begging Vince, as the story goes, to turn him into a heel, and they reluctantly turned him into a heel. And then once you turned him into a heel, you got to see The Rock.
Yeah.
And that is what put him on the map to superstardom. The same thing happened with what's his name? I'm blanking. But once you turn these people heel, that's when their personality. Batista, that happened with Batista when they turned him
Right.
heel. You know, it's another layer of what they're already doing. And Roman Reigns, when you are a face in WWE, especially, you have to play the corporate role. You have to kiss babies, shake hands. You can never be mad. The fans boo you. You have to sit there and take it and say, I appreciate the fans booing me. Like the night after the Roman Reigns beat the Undertaker, the whole Raw audience booed the fuck out of him.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then the next week on Raw, he was like, "Oh, the fans can express themselves how they want." That was bullshit. You turn this guy into a heel, he could talk about how shitty the fans are, how much better he is than everybody else. He could talk about the amount of monies he makes. He could talk about the amount of mouths he's feeding, having the bloodline, how you were nothing without the bloodline. And now that you're in the bloodline, you're something. You are lucky to be in my orbit. And he could let loose. And eventually, the bad guy always turns into the face if you do it right. You know, that's what happens in these Marvel movies. You know, if you're doing the villain role right, eventually you're gonna be a good guy.
So what you're saying is 5 years from now, Solo's gonna be the biggest babyface, Chris.
If they do it right. If they do it right, like they got to get him off of this thing he's on right now. They got to put him in a role. I see. If I was them, the way I would have did Solo from the beginning was have him be the one turn on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns abuses him for a few weeks, and then Solo gets tired of it. And Solo is the one with the autonomy that turns on Roman Reigns. The way they did Solo Sikoa turning on Roman Reigns was kind of cheap because they waited until Roman Reigns was at his lowest moment and Solo Sikoa just steps on him while he's down. That's not setting him up for success. He should have been he should have been the one to like Roman Reigns should have cut a heel promo on that guy, went away for a couple weeks, and Solo Sikoa could have blossomed off of that. You know, that's the way I see it.
But I think they were kind of inching towards that. I don't think they went full in on that. But I think when they had Solo, and this is what happens when you listen to Solo's promos, Professor. No, but when he was saying at the beginning, he was like, "Oh, you hold us to this certain standard, and you want us to be here, and you want us to keep lifting things up. But then when you lose, you just go off and you go away." And I think that's what kind of Solo was inching towards. It's like you put all this pressure for us to help you stay at the top, But once you're not at the top anymore, then you run away and you don't face the consequences. Or there are consequences. I think he said in one of the promos, there are
Yeah, but he said that
consequences
like
to losing.
a year later or so. Like I do appreciate that. I do, but then why is he saying this shit like months and months later? Like this is something you should have said at the fucking beginning to make sense of a heel turn. The best bad guys are the bad guys who their logic makes sense from their point of view. It's just twisted the means they want to get to their end goal. That's what a good that like Mr. Freeze and Batman, the animated series. His logic made sense. He was just hurting other people to get at one guy. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, you could have made that logic make sense months and months ago. You let this shit drag and drag and drag because you're seeing the bloodline as a cash cow. I get it, but I think they could have done a better job of moving things along.
I also to give the story a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I also don't know how much of Final Boss was going to play into it.
Yeah.
So maybe we would have gotten some more stuff, Chris, if they had kept it going as originally planned. But now we ain't gonna get that because Dwayne is like, hey, I don't care what y'all doing, Oos. I got to worry about these movies right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And he's still in good standing with Disney, so he's not trying
to.
He's in there, Warner Brothers.
Money with the mouse. We know
like,
the lights.
What would you like us to do, Final Boss? Like all of them, Jacob, all of them, Tala Tonga, the tallest Tonga of them all. They just looking at Rock. What you want us to do, boss? And he's just like, can I get a chew? Like, what that got to do with this wrestling, man? It's like, hey, man, I ain't got time to think about this wrestling right now. I'm trying to make this Disney money, man.
Yeah.
Because those are the only things that are profitable for me right now. Because Red One didn't make anything.
Nah, it was
that movie went triple cellophane at the box office.
Right. Yeah, and The Rock can blame himself for that too. You know, I do kind of feel bad for Rock in those ways because I do think even with him appearing with Kane on that on Fox, I think I understand what you're trying to do, but you're a Hollywood movie star.
Yes.
And you don't need to appeal to MAGAs because they're going to eventually see your movie anyway. Nobody boycotts movies like that anyway. You know, they like fucking people been like with the one dude, not Chris Pratt, the other Chris. Is it Chris Pratt, the one that's
connected to the church?
Captain America.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah. People were saying, "Oh, I hate how woke he is," and blah blah blah. Avengers makes a ton of money. Captain America makes a ton of money. It doesn't fucking matter what your politics are. If you do good movies, people are gonna see your shit. You know, in The Rock, I caused the vision bullshit. You know, then doing that Red One and the shit bombing at the box office. I do think that was in large part to his political shit, man. I do think that kind of because people want you to have an opinion, you know. It's they don't want you to be wishy-washy on things. They don't want you to come across as fake. They don't want to know that you eating that in and out for the first time 20 times in a row.
Good.
I think Moana too did well, so I don't know.
Again, that's under the Disney umbrella though. Like outside of Disney and Fast and Furious, the box office looking kind of sketchy.
I'll tell you this, Ray. I think Disney did a big part of cleaning up his image to make Moana 2 do well. Moana 2 is already a strong brand, like Nate's kind of alluded to. It's already a strong brand. I think Disney had him go on the red carpet do your celebrity stuff, pal around with all your liberal celebrity friends, and
Right, do the eyebrow for the camera.
yeah, don't stop, don't go on Fox again. And I'm sure he was instructed in that fashion, and I'm sure he's heeding the advice. If you can't say anything about The Rock, you can never accuse that man of not listening.
Nope. And he might have got a glimpse of a path not taken with Terry Bollea last night. He's like, "Whoo, I dodged the bullet there, brother."
Right? Yeah. I bet you we're not going to see The Rock on Fox News again anytime this year.
But I bet if this doggone beer stuff don't work with WWE, it's gonna be Tyrus on the air, brought to you by Real American Vanity, brought to you by presented by.
They'll have their own show. It'll be Tyrus and Terry on Tuesdays.
On Tuesday.
Let me tell you what's wrong with this country, brother Tyrus. First of all, you're one of the good ones, brother. I got a paper bag here, and you just passed the test, brother.
Right.
Oh. On that note, go ahead, Chris.
I say he could probably get into the MAGA podcasting world. I don't know how eloquent he could be at that. I mean, podcasting is for certain persons.
If you thought 82 weeks with Eric Bischoff was a podcast full of lies, just imagine until we get the Hulk Hogan political podcast.
Yeah, I think Stevie Richards, our former WWE superstar, he has a YouTube channel, and I think he had like 2 half an hour episodes where he strictly goes through all the lies that Terry has told. I think they're each like 30 to 45 minutes long, and it's like goes through stuff from his book, goes through stuff that he's told other people or said in interviews and stuff like that. So yeah,
shout out to Stevie. Like, he's got a good show. Like, I hadn't heard of it before this year or last year, but because of the algorithm, it popped up on my feed when he was trashing AEW Fight Forever. Then I caught a couple of his other shows, and I'm like, Stevie's pretty good. He's pretty good. But real quick, before we wrap things up this week, again, shout out to everybody watching us live on Tuesday afternoon, going into the evening. Any final thoughts on the first episode of Raw on Netflix, presented by Great American Beer, Real American Beer? Chris, we'll go to you first. Final thoughts on night 1 of this new era that we've entered.
Yeah, night 1, I thought it was fine. I didn't go into this thinking it was going to be great. I wasn't thinking stupid shit like Solo Sikoa was going to beat Roman Reigns. I know how WWE does with the baby faces they love. Those fools are going to be protected at all costs, you know. But I thought, like I said, it was a great show. As far as the production is concerned, I wish AEW would have did something similar for their debut on Max. Just production wise, make it feel like a big deal, at least for that first episode. Because like I said earlier, the first episode is always going to do gangbuster numbers, and then it comes back down to earth in week 2. This is just how it is with any debut show these days. The first episode does well, and then the next episode does okay, and then you find your footing like somewhere around the mid-season, unless like you're like Empire, where you just the whole first season is just awesome as far as ratings are concerned. So we'll see. I'm interested in the Netflix era. I'm not watching week 2 the way I did week 1. I'll watch the already recorded version of Raw next week. I watched it live last night. I'm looking forward to the streaming era of AEW and WWE.
Yeah, I think, Chris, for me, again, like, I won't be watching the next 2 weeks live because I got bigger fish to fry with the NFL playoffs and then the college football. national championship. So much like you, and I'm sure a lot of people, particularly people that are watching this, will probably check it out the next day on demand, which still is good for Netflix because it's a content that people are going to and actively seeking out. In terms of the first night as a show, like as a television production, I thought it was amazing. I thought that just the spectacle of everything, the celebrities, the setting, the presentation, all of that was top notch. Production was top notch. 10 out of 10. No notes on the production, Ray.
Right.
As a wrestling show, it was just kind of like there. And I did feel the time, not only because it was 3 hours back again as opposed to 2 the last few weeks, but because of the pacing and because of all those damn commercials.
Yep.
And I think there's going to be growing pains in terms of a wrestling show. Because at the end of the day, yes, this was Hollywood. This was glitz and glamour last night. But at the end of the day, you are a wrestling company, a sports entertainment company even. I'll grant you that much. I'll give you that much leeway. So the core, if the core product, like, again, going to Chris's Chick-fil-A analogy, if this lady that ran this Chick-fil-A that Chris may or may not have smuggled tenders out of at the back of the Chick-fil-A, if she had the greatest production and promotion for this Chick-fil-A, but the sandwiches were just kind of you might check it out once a month or once every couple months, but it's not going to be destination viewing or eating for you. And same thing here with Raw. If the wrestling don't hit, if you don't give people characters to latch onto, like, again, Gunther, even if he wasn't in a match last night, should have had a bigger presence on the show. Like, yo, this dude Gunther is a beast. This man Gunther is a champion. He's a badass. We can't wait to show him to you. Like 2 weeks from now, Gunther's first match on Netflix. Y'all got to check this man out. He's a beast. Yep. They ain't give us nothing like that. They gave us a slickly produced vignette, which was cool, but nothing. If I'm a casual fan that just tuned in for the buzz, ain't nothing about last night's show really that hooks me for next week, because Rock ain't gonna be back, Taker ain't gonna be back, Hogan probably won't be back.
That might hook you. That might hook you to come back.
What if that this whole thing is just a humiliation ritual for Hulk Hogan? We'll bring him out every week to get booed across America, and that's the one thing that unites everybody, regardless of what your politics are. We all can agree Hulk Hogan is trash.
I low-key think Triple H set that fool up. I do. I think he knew he was, because Nick Khan and Paul Levesque are smart guys, you know. Nick Khan has spent enough time in Los Angeles. I think he either used to live here or still lives out here. He had to know that fool wasn't getting cheered.
So what you're saying, Chris, is much like we saw Karrion Kross use the Bugs Bunny mind trick on The Miz last night to go fight the Wyatt Six. That's what Nick Khan and Triple H did to Hulk. Like, Hulk, you're the best, aren't you? Yeah, I'm the best, brother. Man, this beer is amazing. This beer is the greatest beer that's ever been brewed, brother. You should probably go out there. Nobody's going to boo you. You're right. Nobody's going to boo the Hulk. Come on, Jimmy, let's go. And they knew this man was set up from the get-up, Chris. So you saying they put him out there on purpose to bomb.
Nick Khan is just too smart for this. The Emanuel family knows Kamala Harris. They know how popular she is in the state of California. Her husband, Doug Emhoff, is from here as well. Kamala Harris has a place out here and in Oakland. They know fucking better than what they did. You cannot tell me they didn't have inkling that Hulk Hogan might get booed. They didn't have an inkling that Undertaker might get booed. That's why I think they had his music playing the whole time and kept Rhea Ripley out there, you know.
And they was probably like, Taker, you get one lap around the ring. Don't take two or it's gonna get ugly.
Right, yeah, I think they were. Then, and once they saw that the coast was clear with Taker, they, you know, but I know they know better than this. They fucking know. You cannot tell me these two men, especially Nick Khan, especially the Emanuels, they knew Hulk. And Triple H, he writes about Hogan how much he hates him in his book. They knew what the fuck was going to
Oh,
happen.
so they set Terry up. Oh, you love to see it. Ray Williams, final thoughts on the debut, the premiere of Raw on Netflix from last night.
Echoing the sentiments of you guys, I felt production top notch. I felt packages and the graphics, everything was top notch. I felt them kind of reiterating the history of professional wrestling was top notch. I felt matches were decent. They weren't like 5 stars as Dave Meltzer was saying. Not all of the matches were 5 stars. They weren't
Right.
instant classics. Sorry, Michael Cole, but they were decent matches to kind of get people into the sport and into the art, and just those who are either lapsed or brand new, kind of getting an inkling as to who our main guys are, who our primary focus are. Um, Again, as we've echoed earlier, the proof is going to be in the follow up, just to see what these guys do. Because I was seeing that they were putting kind of graphics to promote future shows that we're talking about. The 27th, for example, something's going to happen big with Roman on the 27th.
Oh yeah, I saw
And
that.
then they had like WWE 25 on the back, so that was interesting.
We got the Penta graphic.
Yeah, Pentagraphic. We got Chad Gable, who's going to face some unknown luchador, which may lead, what probably will lead to Penta.
Yeah, well, and Triple H all but said it is who you think it is. So
yeah.
and I think
they literally had the graphic of the mask and his name. So yeah, I think it's going to be Penta, and that's going to be fire. So like Chad Gable versus Penta. Oh my goodness. But and then they had graphics. The women's Intercontinental Championship is going to be introduced, or is going to be crowned on the next Raw, as well as Sheamus finally going against Kaiser, Ludwig Kaiser. So I think those are kind of like just little teasers.
All the people that couldn't, they didn't want to put out on Front Street last night.
Like, in LA where the stars were. So they pretty much show you who the stars were and who like the understudies or who like the up and comers were.
Yeah, so, understudies. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
That kid, you're not ready for LA. Take that to San Jose.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I will be keeping an eye out. I know Showbiz Daily isn't a thing no more, but there's this guy on YouTube, Dan Murrell, he's not a pro wrestling YouTuber. He does stuff for news and for not graphics, but like pretty much projections and box office numbers for movies, and also with streaming ratings with streaming. And so I know he was kind of looking forward to how Raw was going to do with it being on Netflix as well. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that as far as the ratings, because not only is it going to be for people who tuned in live, but like you, Nate, folks who can't make it live, who come back and watch it later. Like proof enough, I didn't watch it live. I watched it this morning, full transparency. So it's like how much word of mouth is going to get out to maybe those, or how many people are going to be passing by who don't even know that it comes on Monday nights, who are just flicking through Netflix and then come across it. Like, what are those watch hours going to look like in the long run for each of the weeks? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan, to be somebody that covers the sport, covers the industry. We in a new era, not only with, again, Raw on Netflix, but AEW on Max now. So things are picking up. Y'all just wait until TNA sign this Tubi deal, Chris,
Oh,
it's
Lord.
about to be over. The game gonna get changed when TNA signed this Tubi deal.
Right. It's
But
just weird that there's not going to be any professional wrestling on Monday Night Cable for the first
Yeah.
time in my life, man. It's
Yeah.
just nuts, yeah.
it is. And again, like I do feel like that may be like the numbers are going to be interesting whenever we do get at least some semblance of what the numbers look like, because we saw with the NFL, like there is still a technology barrier to some
Mhm.
folks, folks older than us, obviously, but even some folks in our age group where it's like, I know how to use YouTube, I know how to use Twitter, I know how to use Amazon Prime, but it's like,
Right.
that's not what I'm going to when I'm looking at TV.
Right.
And so, like, there's still going to be a learning curve, a technology gap that needs to be closed. But I'm excited.
Yeah. And
Same.
we'll talk about, because HBO Max didn't have any issues at all. So we'll talk about that on our next show. But yeah, it's interesting, man, because those technical glitches are going to be a thing.
So again, for those keeping an eye out for us, the next time most likely you will hear from us will be on January 19th for our monthly edition of the Nubian Wrestling Advocates on Post Wrestling, presented by Great American Beer, Real American Beer. I wanted to do like a gimmick where I bought some great Real American Beer and like poured it out on the episode, but I'm like, then I would have to pay Hulk Hogan $10 for this 6-pack of beer, and I'm not even going that far for a joke, Terry. Not even for the funny, Terry. I'm not going that far. But again, 19th NWA podcast over at Post Wrestling. We'll be doing that live, and then on the 20th, the launch of Nefarious Media, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be having one live show, the parlay with myself, Two-Way Ray, Brittany Monet, and the Conscience Steve Willie. And then after that, we'll be off to the races, and we'll let you know. Like, you'll find out about these shows shortly after when we find out, because all of this is going to be a living organism, Chris, a living mechanism that we kind of figure this out as we go.
Right, yeah.
We've never been the biggest, we got plans, ladies and gentlemen, but we've never been like the most strategic outfit. We just kind of we freestyle this, and it tends to work out, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a long time coming for us, and our time has come. So 2025.
Look at Christina over here. He's saying Sage Steele, Jason Whitlock, Skip Bayless, your time is up, especially you, Skip Bayless, after what we know now. Skip Bayless, your time is up. Our time is now. Nefarious Media, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you to everybody watching tonight. Subscribe to the Patreon. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on Twitter if you like. Follow us on Blue Sky, not right now because we don't have a Blue Sky, but you can follow me, Chris, and Ray individually. Eventually, Nefarious is going to have its own Blue Sky account, so you can follow us there, man. And just start telling your friends, man, about us and the work that we do and the work that we've been doing for the past going on 12 years now here at the Kings of Sports, soon to be Nefarious, because we ain't stopping no time soon. So no, we already did our final thoughts on Raw. Ray, any plugs is what I meant to ask you. Any plugs before we get out of here, brother?
All right. Well, we already mentioned that Nefarious Means era or Nefarious Media era will be starting up soon. And coming with that will be
You think we can get a Travis Scott book for that for our first show?
Probably. Keep the weed at home though. You can tune in. Just I don't know if it is legal in Maryland, so I don't know.
Bro. Okay.
No, but I don't partake. I'm good.
Just cut to Travis Scott just blazing up in Ray's Lexus
in the back. But but also including that is the new era of the SBF podcast, formerly known, and I guess I'll go ahead and break this now because we didn't get a chance to come out with a December episode. I apologize to those who were waiting for it. Sorry, your Christmas gift, Santa has let you down. My apologies. But the Spinning Black Fist podcast will be shifting over and transitioning over to the Styles Break Fights podcast. Styles Break Fights, a playoff of Styles Make Fights. So that will be coming up. I believe I'll be having that release. Hopefully, me and the co-host, the Maestro Chi Okafor, will be recording that on the same week as the relaunch and the rededication of Nefarious Media. So hopefully we can get you guys an episode to come out after the 20th as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the main thing that's going to be coming from us. And I know we've been collaborating on just some newer things, some newer ideas. I got a bunch of ideas. I don't know how much going to stick, but we're going to throw as many of them out to the wall as possible. As far as social media, you can find me. Again, I'm one of the few that are still hanging on to X. So you can find me on X. You can find me on Instagram at MondoDondo1. And as Brother Nate also mentioned, you can find me on Blue Sky at Two-Way Ray on Blue Sky.
Okay. Chris, any plugs before we get out of here for this week?
Yeah, just listen to NWA this month on the third Sunday.
It's going to be a crazy episode already.
Right.
I know it.
And then,
I believe, I'm not sure because I got to get back to him. I've been bad at getting back to people. But I believe David Myers is going to join us for that episode.
No.
Okay. Well, cool. Awesome. And just follow me on the Blue Sky. I'm on Twitter. I use it from time to time. I used it last night because I wanted to tweet about how stupid Hogan looked. I'm still modulating there from time to time, and I haven't been given a drop off date yet. So I'm waiting for that date, and then I'll be off of there. But until then, you can find me on both Blue Sky and Twitter at KMEZ Does It.
Okay. You still working on that book, brother?
I'm still working on it, but I'm looking at release dates, and that's another story right there because I don't know how much promotion I want to give the book before the release date, or if I want to just go cold this summer. So not in a rush with that right now. It's near completion, and
okay.
But I've got a bunch of other things going on, so it's not super important at the moment.
Gotcha.
Chris is waiting on that foreword from Terry Bollea to get back to him. You know what? I actually wanted to be a professor, and Chris taught one of my classes when I was in school, brother. Like, Chris is 20 years younger than you, Terry. How does that even work? Like, how does that even work, brother?
It's like Archer saying John Cena.
Yes, John Cena was my childhood hero. No R-Truth last night.
Yeah,
I know, man. They really did keep, like, they had the clowns on the show, but they kept
them in the back.
Yeah, they kept certain clowns off the show. So I do think there's going to be some releases coming spring. I'm not hoping for that
post WrestleMania kind of purge that they do.
Yeah. I think that's happening.
Truth, make your way to AEW, dog.
I'm not naming names, but I think it's happening.
Let's see.
But yeah, for more from me, I'm still on X, still on Twitter. Like, Twitter's wild right now. Like, just the level of discourse now that a bunch of people have left is kind of weird. Also, like, when stuff happens, like the Fox Sports expose that hit the other day with the lawsuit, like, people are just wild. Like, no filter wild, talking about Skip Bayless and Joy Taylor on these streets. It's just like, whoo, it's not your daddy's Twitter, man. But I'm still on Twitter at @8 MOZAIK. I'm also on Blue Sky, much like Chris and Ray. So you can check me out on Blue Sky. Follow all of us, all the Kings of Sport socials. TikTok for now. While TikTok is still a thing, we still got a TikTok up. We got the YouTube up, and we will soon have a Blue Sky for Nefarious Media. And then again, Kings of Sport Patreon, patreon.com/the Kings of Sport. If you want to sign up, man, $5 gets you in the door. You want to pay more, we won't stop you. $5, man. That's like half the price of a 6-pack of real American beer, but more than triple, more than quadruple, more than tuple. I don't even know if that's a real way to say it, Chris. But whatever it is, like you have multiples of levels of enjoyment more that you will get from that $5 with us than that $10 with Terry from Florida. That's all I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, this was fun. Again, Ringside Rap is something that, again, the more we do this, I kind of want it to maybe end up being its own thing. It'll probably have to live on the Patreon unless we get some non-licensed music, because I do love this Run DMC Degeneration X thing that you all about to hear. But we'll see, man. The future is wide open, man. You know, where we going, Ray, we don't need no roads, man. We're gonna make our own trail, blaze our own path out here as Nefarious, and we're excited. So again, thank you to everybody watching live, and thank you to everybody who is watching and listening in the future. You know, let your friends know about us, because we putting in the work this year. So that's gonna do it. Ray, get the music rolling so we can get up out of here, man. For all three of us. Ray, a real American if I've ever seen one. I am the Godfather Nate Milton, and you've been listening to the Ringside Rap. We'll see you soon. I should have said good fight, good night, Ray. Steal your bit from SBF. Actually, I'm going to do that. Hey, good fight, good night. I came up with that. Hit the button, Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Suckers,